Okay, so we are now live. I am here with Sargon of Akkad,
Hey man, how's
who's
it going?
I'm good. He is here to make us all an offer that we cannot refuse.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot that. Yeah,
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 it's
that's good.
actually one of the memes that I believe is from specifically the alt right that I actually like. Um, I because the thing is that the difference is that you may be offended by it because you don't like mob movies, but I especially do. So I see it as an
I'm
actually.
not offended by it. I just don't watch those sort of films. So I've never seen The Godfather or anything, but I'm not saying it's a bad film or anything. It's never took
Right.
my interest. Um, but yeah, like it's just weird being the target of an ire of a community. To be honest with you, they're kind of treating me like I'm an East Sarkeesian, and it's kind of annoying because it's like, look, I'm not calling anyone. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just
For
disagreeing with
now.
you. It's like, why are you acting like chimps? I think you're meant to be better than that. And I tell you, that's something I've noticed a lot, actually. The spurgouts. It's like, God, what are you
Oh yeah,
doing?
yeah. That's
Apparently, I have people saying, like, whenever my name's mentioned, that it's kind of triggering to them or something. It's like, okay,
yes.
that's weird.
I've had people send me links to like threads on like not 8chan, but I think 4chan, somewhere on 4chan or Reddit, and people like flipping out, like, how dare you mention him? Sooner or later, dude, you're gonna become the Voldemort of them. You're gonna be
It's very
he who
interesting.
cannot be named.
Yeah. Like I am with the feminists, mate.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's quite amusing. But it does make the alt right just undealable with. I just can't. There's no point trying to talk to them because it really is just this wave of angry comments. It's like, okay, I just can't be bothered with this. I'm not talking to them like that. I'll happily have a conversation with them, but like, it's just the attitude of saying that.
Oh
They've
yeah.
already decided that they're right and everyone else is wrong, and they're not even interested in talking about it. And they refuse flat out, just like the SJWs, in fact, to actually try and understand the definitions of the words you're using. It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, the other thing that I especially don't like is that, especially for our wing of things, and especially the people that would more align with yourself and I than them. There's a lot of people that are more than willing to admit when another side that they don't necessarily subscribe to has a good point.
Mm.
And that's something that you will not see with the SJWs and the alt right. They view themselves as the only legitimate body by which any politics could actually be changed. So if you think like, oh, this conservative has a decent point on immigration, it's like, oh, well, he's a cuck or he's whatever. You can only really subscribe to our viewpoint as the legitimate viewpoint for how to deal with, say, immigration. Let's see here. All right, so I guess we can. I'll share my screen because there's a.
Just one thing is something that you need to talk about. Like everyone needs to talk about this because, like, to suggest that you're I mean, no one in the alt right is contradicting what Richard Spencer was saying about like feudalism. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you understand how? Like, no, I'm from England. We have an 800-year history of fighting against the oppression and tyranny of the monarchy, to the point for that we have a civil war over the supremacy of Parliament, and that produced the modern world. And you guys are like, yeah, so maybe that wasn't a great idea. It's like, no, you don't even understand what it's like to live under anything but this. It's just like the communists in this country saying, well, it wasn't all bad in Soviet Russia. It's just such a dumb thing. And they don't understand what they're asking for. They don't understand that the whole point of capitalism was to break this. The product of it was to break it. And it's about your own freedom. And oh god, it's such a dumb
Well, they
thing to
just they
understand.
just want the
Sorry, man.
freedom to get into position to where they can remove everyone else's freedom.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're arguing for tyranny, and they're under the delusion, as all people who are arguing for tyranny always are, is that they're the ones who are going to be the tyrants. And to be honest with
Yes.
you, I don't think they are.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that ultimately, and that's what I said online the other day, is that as it relates to the progressives, and the same could be said for the alt right, is if you want to overthrow the system, just start punching cops and do this world a favor. Because You're going to punch a cop, you're going to get shot, and then the world's just going to be a better place. And no one's going to have to think about it a second time. But that's why they don't do it. You'll never see these people ever do any kind of actual quote-unquote resistance. They'll just bitch online because, one, they're cowards, and this is where they thrive, is online anonymously. And two, most of them are LARPers. They just want to bitch and complain about whatever. You know, most of them are, I find, to be unproductive people. They don't have kids. They aren't fucking CEOs. They aren't any kind of producer. They're just there.
They're complicit in white genocide.
I guess if that's what you could say. I just think they're I mean, they were giving shit to Jeff Holiday. They're giving shit to Jeff Holiday for being a father. Why? And it's like, oh, he's a pot smoker and he's got cornrows and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, he's furthering the white race. What the fuck are you faggots doing? You're too busy like jerking off to trap images.
Yeah, but no. You say this, but this is just like the feminists deplatforming the Greek girls over the fact that they're being, you know, they are violating an ideological principle of being ogled by men. But what it's actually doing is just reducing the number of women in Formula One by a substantial number. So it's making it less equal than it already was. And it's exactly the same thing. Holiday is busy furthering the white race, and they're saying that he's not furthering the white race. You know, the Greek girls were busy actually being women's representation, and the feminists have removed it. It's all ideological. It's all bullshit. It's all irrelevant of what reality is as well. It's all about maintaining this abstraction rather than seeing it being realized. That's the big difference, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been thinking about this shit a lot, man, and it's just like, like this is just, it's all or nothing, and that's what it is, all or nothing.
All right, I'm gonna get 2 super chats just so people can't bitch at me. So I got Bazinski who says, "Hey Louis, wish I could watch your stream, but I'm gonna dock it in a bar, get drunk, watch the Super Bowl, and then fuck my sister out of frustration when Team X beats Team Y." Well, thank you, Bazinski. That sounds like you say that it's a redneck thing in this, but I'm pretty sure that's just a Brazilian thing. I'm just gonna go that far and say that. And then Ultra Grade says, Sargon, some of your recent videos and streams have shown a poor state of mind. I think you need a break. I'm a long-time subscriber, and I am legitimately worried about you. I mean, no offense at all.
Okay, I don't agree. So, I mean, I'm just...
You're more specific there, Ultra Grade. You're just saying that you have a poor state of mind. How so? So please follow up, and I will, you know.
I think what you're confusing this with is me choosing a definite side. I'm not necessarily in agreement with you on certain issues, and you're like, well, this is you know, or and it could be to conduct as well. But I've chosen that we have to do something, and I've chosen to not really give a fuck about people whining about conduct or tone and things like this. You know, I just want to get to the bottom of all this and get this fucking over with.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he means by conduct-wise or just like the whole liberalist thing. I'm not sure which he means. So instead, we'll get to this, which you just mentioned in this week's This Week in Stupid, which is the scuffle with Jacob Rees-Mogg. And I have to say that I don't know if this is the difference between a society that has few guns versus one that has a lot of guns, but I in no way would have done what he did in this situation.
Really?
Yes, I would have gone out of my way to either hire security or had security with me and thrown these fucking people out. I never, or allowed police or whomever to throw them out. I never would have approached them in that manner because, in my opinion, that's a good fucking way to get shot. You know, we had the situation with that lunatic progressive guy in his 60s that opened fire at a baseball you know, field and shot. I forget what his name is, but he was a upper member of the Republicans in the Congress.
You know, it's interesting. I was going to go over it in the video, but it was already like over half an hour. But I've been thinking about this a lot as well. Like, there is a definitive cultural difference between Britain and America, and like in the realm of how individualistic they are, on a social level. Not necessarily on an economic level. In fact, on an economic level, Britain's a hell of a lot less individualistic than America. But on a social level, America's very collectivist. It's very racialized. A lot of
I don't.
very racist.
I think that honestly, you can only view it through today's history. Like today, you might be right, but it's only because things have gotten
I'm
so
not saying
fucking
it's always
bad.
been this way. I'm
Yeah.
sure, there's probably a time when it was less so, but right now it's incredibly racialized.
Yeah.
And in Britain, this sits really uneasily on people. You can tell when people are saying the things that they're saying. They either have to say them in jest, or they generally feel uncomfortable about what they're going to say, because there's there's a cultural norm in Britain about just interpersonal interaction, about being polite. You know that you should be polite. There's no good argument against politeness. And so even the radical left know that this is something, and you see that when they're in large social settings where they try to be accepted, you see the way they respond. When they say something crazy, everyone's like, yeah, but that's racist, and then the crowd applauds. You can see the look of shame on their faces. They know that in this room, everyone agrees. And honestly, they deeply down, they know it themselves. And I've been reading The Righteous Mind by Hyde recently, and he makes so many fucking good points. I don't want to get into it because to take fucking forever, but basically, it's really worth people's time if they want to understand like the moral tastes, and you can see that there's a moral taste there that they're deliberately ignoring, and yet they still taste themselves because it's the culture that we have here. In America, I think you have it a lot less, especially among some ethnic minorities, in fact. But anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of going off topic now.
Yeah, it's. I would say that I have a few videos that I'm working on right now, and one of the big ones that I'm going to be talking about is basically just my critique of the right wing. And one of the things I'm going to be talking about is that there was a brief moment in history in the United States, and it was in the very early '90s, coming out of the '80s into the '90s, where hip hop culture was starting to actually turn in a good direction. That it had started out fairly like indie, and it became increasingly corporate. And the corporate side of it was actually becoming increasingly in favor of like reflecting on the poor aspects of black culture and being black in America. And it wasn't just, oh, everyone's a racist and everything's outside of your hands. It's you actually have to stand up and take responsibility for your own life. And there's actually a decent amount of artists that actually did raps about that, or early hip hop tracks about that. And one of the things that I didn't like is that even despite that, you will hear from conservatives that basically every part of black culture is toxic, when instead they could actually be constructive and say, no, there actually are aspects to specifically black culture that were healthy, but have been overtaken by the negative aspects. So they could make a nuanced argument for that and could actually, in part, gain the ear of people that would otherwise not be interested in listening to them. But instead, they write off the entire thing, and it makes them just sound like they're just saying, well, if you like rap, if you like hip hop, if you are a working class black person, then you and I just are so distinctly different, then there's no way to bridge this gap.
Right, okay.
Not constructive.
I agree with you in what you're saying. And I mean, you don't sound uncomfortable saying black community, black culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's just regular parlance for you, right? But in Britain, that's not something that people often would say. And when the SJW activists say it, you can tell that people are bothered by the use of it. And again, I'm just talking on like a distant moral level. But
and that might be the export of the United States. We might be exporting that to you.
No, you guys absolutely are exporting all of this nonsense. Like this, I also you are right. I also covered this protest in a Winston Churchill cafe.
Right, and that the Sada Shakur shit, that is 100% an export of the United States.
But even in the way she was saying it, she said, it is our duty to fight for our freedom, which is an American pronunciation of the word duty. And the students would reply to her using the English pronunciation. It was just like, God, this is such an obvious American export. And that's why they all looked awkward doing it. Everyone looked embarrassed. Everyone was just sat at the tables just like, right, okay, we'll just let them say their piece, and then they'll go, and then we'll carry on. And that's exactly what happened. Problems without any, and so when Mog's like, I knew they weren't going to hit me. He knew, because that's not the kind of country that we are. Just like the people in the cafe, they were just like, okay, we'll just wait until you leave, and they left, and nothing happened. They just embarrassed themselves, and they all kind of walked out, kind of smiling, like, yeah, we were revolutionaries for 5 minutes there before we decided to be awfully British about it and leave peacefully because no one was causing a scene. It's just like, I'm not kidding. There is something cultural about it. There's a difference there that makes social justice ridiculous in this country. And I think it's because we're like ultra individualistic.
You know what's amazing is I'm actually surprised by like the ratio of numbers of feminists in British media versus that in the actual society, where it's like almost all compared to almost none. It seems that the average British person, like most British people, like, 99 out of 100, 999 out of 1,000 are not feminists. And yet everyone in the media is a feminist. Yeah,
it's because, I think it's because of America. I think it's because there are lots of powerful media feminists, and they're influential. They have a whole, toolbox of rhetoric to use against the unsuspecting Piers Morgan types. So that whips them into line, and this is, when some female journalist comes along and goes, "Oh, I'm a feminist," they go, "Oh shit, I know what I'm looking at. I'm looking down the barrel of tens of thousands of academics who will get a fucking case, who will publicly humiliate me." They know that there's power behind that, and I think that's how they're basically gaining so much influence. And they really are. If people aren't aware, they're currently ransacking the BBC for money they don't deserve. It's amazing, right? Yeah. The woman who's like at the center of all of this, Carrie Gracie, she works 3 hours a day. She's part-time. She makes 6 figures a year, and she's complaining that her full-time colleague makes twice as much money as her.
Ultimately, I mean, in terms of the guy that it's like a very famous person there that makes a bunch of money, I forget what his name is.
Chris Evans is the top man.
At some point, I ultimately have to put fault on a guy like him, where at some point you just have to stand up for yourself and say, listen, I get paid what I bring to this station. I bring eyes to the station. I'm being productive and providing a service for the station, and I deserve what I negotiate for, because he probably has some sort of like.
Well, you don't even need to change the subject. I mean, the guy that Carrie Gracie is complaining about, she's demanded that he take a pay cut, but they can't do it. They physically can't do it because he works more than twice the number of hours that she does.
Yes.
So of course he's making twice her money. He should probably be making more. Or to be honest with you, realistically, she should be
making less. Yeah.
But like she wants, and she's been calling for his salary to be cut because she works less hours. It's fucking insane, and everyone can see it. It's just the people in the media know they're going to come under a feminist barrage. They know they're going to just get it in the neck.
What I just love about the whole situation, and it's ultimately what has changed my mind on the topic of state media, is that in your country it is state media. It's like, thanks, taxpayers.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, A, it's funded by taxpayers, so we're all paying for this. But B, they're lawyering up. They're going to fucking sue. They're going to get tens of millions of pounds over a lie, and they're going to walk away scot-free, and nothing's going to fucking happen. You just watch. I swear to God, in like 6 months' time, I'll be making a follow-up video to the feminist heist at the BBC, I've got no doubt, where they've sued for millions, and this has been a landmark discrimination case. Loads of men have had their salary slashed, and fuck me, man, it's like communism has taken over the BBC.
Yeah, it really has. It is. Look, you
totally justify their salaries, like you said with the guy. He brings the most eyes. All of the salaries are totally justified. They've done 3 investigations from independent entities investigating the BBC, and not once have they found any evidence of any gender discrimination. There's no problem here. This is just a fucking heist, mate. They're looting the place.
Yeah, absolutely. What I love is oh god, what was I gonna say? I just blanked for a second.
Sorry, I know I'm going on, but this has just been...
No, it's worth discussing because it's something that is really interesting to see. And it's just really trippy to watch it sort of like break down when the facts are so clearly against these people. And that's why I think I would just wish that there would be some sort of legislation passed where it like mandates that you have a figure like Jordan Peterson come onto the BBC just to, or Channel 4 or whoever's like backed by public funds, just to come on and just disrupt the entire goddamn thing.
No. Sorry to just. I love the idea, but it can't possibly happen because the problem with the right in this country is the same problem that you have with yours in your country. They've agreed to the basic premises that the left has demanded the argument be on.
Yeah, yeah.
They've agreed that. They've lost the argument because they've got nothing. They have the conservatives, right? They will literally pout, yes, we should all be equal. Yes, we should have equality for everyone. It's like, how is that a conservative position? I mean, Theresa May, the Prime Minister, has literally been saying all of these feminist talking points. It's like, but you're a conservative, Theresa. You should have a moral objection to this.
The question is whether she is a conservative or whether she is just basically a bourgeois internationalist.
Well, yeah, she did vote to remain, so possibly
how worried is she about like conservative ideology or conservative principles? How worried is she really?
She's not. She's weak as fuck. She doesn't stand for anything. I mean,
yep.
It would be better to have someone standing for conservative principles than socialism or nothing at all.
Because especially with conservatives, is that one of the things that history shows is that if it's an argument between conservatives and liberals, history goes along the side of ruling not all the time in favor of liberals, but in many cases towards the liberals. So at least it's an argument that can actually be had. And it's not just going to be totalitarian where one side rules the day forever.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not even saying that there aren't changes that need to be made. What I'm saying is these changes shouldn't be radical.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
should be gradual. I mean, one of the things, if you look at the United States, is in 2004, it was incredibly socially taboo in the United States to say in any way that you supported gay marriage. Incredibly socially taboo, even in 2004. I saw poll numbers saying that it was something like, I don't even know, like 60% of people, if not more, thought it was socially unacceptable to even say that, let alone support it. And from 2004 to 2015, it went from being socially taboo and illegal in almost every state to completely legalized in every state and having well over majority support.
Well, yeah, I mean, both Hillary
that is a radical change.
Were saying that they were thinking for marriage as a union between a man and a woman. You know, both Obama and Hillary were saying that in 2008. It really hasn't been that long since this cultural revolution has happened. But the thing is, I was in favor of it.
Well, that's the thing, is that I was in the position, I'm sure we've talked about this before, both of us on many different occasions, that it was wanting it to see it achieved and then seeing it achieved and going, okay, that's it. And then the other side of this going, no, it ain't. This is just the beginning.
Yeah. But the thing is, it was perfectly logical along the lines of liberal principles.
Yeah.
For two, adults of sane mind, if they want to marry, I don't see the state having a say in that. I don't see any reason that the state should have a say in that.
Well, the only good side of that actually being achieved, especially if you are a conservative and you don't agree or what have you, or aren't sympathetic, the good issue is once you take away that issue from the regressive left, that's one thing they can't hang their hat on anymore. Yeah. So when you ask them what you stand for, they can't say gay marriage anymore because that's already a non-issue.
Yeah. And I've been consistently in favor of that just because I just don't think there's an argument for it. You know?
I mean, I could see the argument of like conservatives. Even I remember debating a conservative a long time ago in face to face, where he said that he didn't agree and he was afraid of how fast things were changing. And I wasn't sympathetic back then, but now I am far more sympathetic to say that it was a radical change that happened very suddenly. And unfortunately, like the liberals, or the leftists, I should say, were wrong about there being a backlash to it. There is no backlash. The conservative movement in the United States doesn't touch that issue with a 10-foot pole because they now know it can't be used as a wedge issue. It's just unpopular.
The Libertarians actually won the argument, didn't they? That's the thing. It was about non-interference that really won the day on that, I think.
Yeah.
There's just no good reason. It's very Millsian, following the harm principle, saying, look, if I might not like it, But if it's not hurting someone, then I've got no business to be outlawing it. And I think that's correct. I think that's the way that we should do things.
We got a goofy article coming up in a second, but I'm going to get through some super chats because they're stacking up. So Tabooish says that if Kraut was willing to return to YouTube and would invite you on a stream to clear things up from his wrongdoings, I assume the rest of this is, would you do it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so would I.
The alt-right just want to cast him into oblivion because he was attacking them. Well, obviously they would. I don't really care about the alt-right's opinion on Kraut. I care about my opinion on Kraut, which isn't very good since he lied directly to my face.
Yeah.
And, I find that unacceptable. So the alt-right's opinion on that is just irrelevant to me.
Yeah, I would like to see him try to, like I said, he would have to come back and do somewhat of a mea culpa to the people he lied to.
Yeah,
and that,
large one.
but I would say also he should focus on trying to be productive. Just, focus on making content, focus on just going in streams or doing whatever, but don't go so down the road of being a culture warrior that you kind of become ridiculous. My
advice to him, if he was thinking about making his channel again, would just be put your channel up, put the things as they were, and just make videos that you want to make.
Yeah.
Don't get involved with other people on YouTube.
Yeah.
Turn your Twitter off. Don't worry about what other channels are doing. Just make the videos you think are important for society to see. And that would be the best thing for you that anyone could do. In fact, if everyone did that, we'd probably have a lot more productive sphere.
Yeah.
We're moving into the post-lie era.
Oh yeah.
There's no more. It's like the post-bourgeois era, where it's like there are no pleasant fictions anymore. Don't even fucking think that you can sit there and pretend that you're going to ignore something forever just because it makes you feel good to do it, because that's a world we're moving out of. And the mainstream narratives are just crumbling by the day, and everyone's channels are growing. This thing, I keep seeing the fall of.
Well, we got a poll coming up on that. We got some Pew Research coming up.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's fucking interesting, because I see a lot of channels that are just doing good, and it's okay across the political spectrum. People. SJWs, anti-SJWs, alt-right. Everyone's doing it. The alt media is just really growing. And the thing is, one thing that annoys me is that, I wish I was in control of everything, because I tell you what, if I was in control of everything, you'd know, because you'd be seeing shit happening every fucking day, because I would be actually directing the forces at my command if I controlled stuff. Yeah. In fact, if I think about it, it's actually incredibly annoying that I don't. Because seriously, guys, go to every fucking comment section everywhere and just post rebuttal videos. It doesn't matter who it's fucking by. It doesn't matter what the subject is. If you guys want to make a difference, just keep posting this shit everywhere. Just the direct response videos. This would piss them off so much.
There are people of many generations pouring into alternative media right now. Yes. And I have research to say as much, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, literally anyone, choose anyone who's done any kind of response video to something and post it and just get people aware that there are dissonant voices. And it would accelerate this whole thing overnight. It would start, and there are so many other things you can do. Dev from Short Fat Taco just tweeted, there are loads and loads of SJW types who put proud illegal immigrant in their bio or some variant of that.
Said it at ICE.
Dev just tagged them twice, and they freaked out. They're still freaking out here. They
should be, because if they manage to get something that they can access the file from, they could get their IP.
Yeah. So literally what everyone should be doing is having mass spamming campaigns against ICE, and not against ICE, but tagging ICE, and getting hashtags trending about people who've got illegal immigrant in their bio.
That's what I don't understand. Is if there's
these people are breaking the law in your country and they are proudly presenting it, and nothing happens to them.
I don't understand why there's not more people that are on the right that are basically looking for there's a bunch of I'm an illegal immigrant, proud illegal protests and rallies and stuff. It's bro, I would just have a fleet of ICE guys waiting.
Yeah,
checking IDs.
But the thing is, I mean, the ICE aren't going to do something about someone's Twitter bio, I'm sure. But like,
Right.
it infuriates them, and it makes them act, and it makes them feel attacked because we are just at war with these people. They don't care about our arguments. They're not interested in debating us. They know platforms as often as they fucking can, and they're taking over. I mean, literally, they control governments.
Yeah,
they control.
They have a disproportionate amount of power in many societies at this point, especially in fucking Canada.
Dude, especially in my fucking country. I can't imagine any other movement that could turn around to the fucking car racing industry and say, right, you've got to do something or else.
Yeah. It like that issue of the flag girls. What are they called? The
Grid girls, they call them.
Grid girls. Yeah. That happened in gaming a long time ago, and the issue is that it's just a matter of like, unless the people that are involved in that hobby or that community immediately have a massive backlash, then it is only going to get worse. It is only going to get worse.
The problem is that people just don't have a good argument against it, and the easiest one is show me the harm. That's the easiest one because they are taking advantage of Mills's harm principle, right? Because like the grid girls thing, the whole point about it is these women want to be paid to walk around in skimpy clothes and be the center of attention. And men like looking at attractive women. It's a perfectly reciprocal exchange. In fact, you could probably argue quite a lot in favor of the woman in that exchange. But they're suggesting that, and normally people would be permissive of that because there's no harm involved. Everyone's winning. Everyone's voluntarily going into these things. In fact, it's competitive to become a grid girl, and they're well paid, and people want to do it, and everyone's happy. So it doesn't violate Mills's harm principle. So most people are completely permissive of it. But the feminist comes along and assumes that there may be a victim somewhere because this will hypothetically make people think of women as only objects.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, as far as we can tell. I mean, no one thinks they're not people, unless the feminists. I mean, maybe they've got reams of research on grid girls that show.
No, it's just ideological pressure, in my opinion.
It is. Yeah, of course, I don't believe they do either. But like, I should probably look, to be honest, if I wasn't lazy.
I can't speak for Formula One, but I've said this, and I've had people send my video around, and it's been very controversial in terms of people arguing about it. But I think as it relates to gaming, and I don't really need to go on for too long about this, in my opinion, gaming, Western gaming specifically, has laid down, and it's over.
Completely.
Yes, it's over.
Who was it that had Denise Sarkeesian at their studios the other day?
BioWare.
Yeah, but and they've been long infested with SJW.
Yes, they are the most ideological developer in the Western industry from my perspective. But the issue is that even though, but the thing is, here's the thing. Okay, would you say that Anita Sarkeesian has far more influence now or far less influence now? What would you say?
There are different kinds of influence.
Well, I mean, in terms of power, let's just put it in power.
In raw power, loads.
But more than 4 years ago or less than 4 years ago? In terms of reach, in terms of that.
She's got no reach. She's got no power on a cultural level, but she's got power on an institutional level at this point.
Yes.
At this point, she gets paid 20 grand a speech. She goes to universities. She talks about feminism to the soft minds of the kids.
She's not popular.
No, she's not popular.
She has no grassroots support. She has burned bridges.
Even other feminists disown her.
Often. Yeah, she's been disowned by other feminists, and she's still showing up at developers, counseling them, and has institutional support.
Yeah, it's a lot like Linda Sarsour. There are loads of people who have disavowed Linda Sarsour and actively opposed her, and yet still she ends up leading women's marches and being invited to things and speaking. And it's like, why? So, nobody likes Linda Sarsour.
So as it relates to gaming, my position is, and I've yet to actually hear any kind of real refutation of what I say. They just say, well, you're not citing any statistics. It's, I've been doing that for 4 fucking years, and it's gone nowhere. So I'm done. And I've said that in the video, and I said very much strongly so that I gave it 4 years. It's worse than it was 4 years ago. Why am I continuing anymore? With at least gaming, with the general culture war. I think generally in the culture war, in terms of on national scales, there's some serious pushback, and ground has been given by the lunatics on the left to some extent. They have infested certain countries like Canada severely, but the fact that Jordan Peterson is #1 on Amazon and is like more demand than ever before, and is making like 20,000 or whatever a day on fucking Patreon or whatever it is, like there is an active resistance in the culture in multiple countries to these movements, but in gaming specifically, gamers have laid down. So fuck gaming. That's my position.
That's
you had your chance. You had your chance, and you did nothing. So that's
okay. Come on, you're being. I think that's a harsh condemnation, because I think a lot of people from Gamergate who were understanding of the fact that there was
you got IGN to update their their standards. Congratulations.
No, it's not that, but a lot of them are still around. A lot of them are still fighting the culture war. A lot of them are still dunk your movie Bob on Twitter. Like
that's not doing anything.
It's keeping a wall of separation, and the thing is, it keeps them on their toes. It doesn't do anything to the wider public, but it keeps them in a siege mindset, and that's what we've got to make them feel like.
I guess I just think that the time to go after the companies was there.
Yeah, in gaming, it's probably too late, but in the wider culture war,
in the wider culture, it's definitely not too late.
Hot at the moment, so we should be doing like real life culture jamming.
I do think that in terms of the mainstream culture of society, there is fertile ground for people to take back ground from the social justice activists and the socialists and all the rest, the progressives. I think there's plenty of room to take back ground from them. And if you haven't seen it, at least in the United States and even in the UK, but not in Canada, they're not in elected office right now. They don't control Congress. They don't control the White House. They don't control the Supreme Court in the United States. And you have conservatives. They're in a coalition with, who are they? The other group?
What, in this country?
Yeah. They have a coalition with somebody, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, the UP.
Yeah. So there you go. So they still hold power within the government, at least, or I mean, the conservatives hold power, but culturally, it's just a matter of the progressives and the socialists and the lunatics holding a majority sway. But it's just, and like I said, I think there is an active resistance to them, and that could be taken back. But like I said, specific to gaming, people will bitch today about loot crates or whatever the fuck. But in terms of the ideology that has completely taken over the Western industry, just next to nobody cares.
Yeah.
So it's over.
Gaming. Yeah, I agree.
It's over.
What I was saying is the wider culture war is going well.
Oh yeah. Well, everyone's flowing into alternative media, and it's rising. It's raising all the boats, and that does include some progressives in that. But the thing is that they're not rising to the same scale as like a Paul Joseph Watson.
Yeah, agreed.
So it doesn't mean that Paul Joseph Watson is somehow a thought leader, but what it does mean is that they had a choice between Paul Joseph Watson and your average progressive ideologue. They chose Paul Joseph Watson.
Yeah. And this is why I'm not making videos against the alt-right very much. Like if I do one, I'm just doing like one on my shitposty channel where I'm just talking about something, but it's like they don't see something. The alt-right, you need to focus on the SJWs, because you are moments away from being just banned out of existence.
Oh yeah, that's part of the video.
Gain control of something, they will just shut you down on principle.
That's one of the videos. It's one of the videos I want to make, is about how the conservative movement is not focusing on the fact that currently it's being, in many instances, oppressed. And one of the worst parts of the alt-right is that they basically make their own case for why they should be oppressed, because they are vicious. They go after people in ways that make SJWs look good. They have terrible politics, awful politics, incendiary politics, are generally toxic hypocrites themselves that have no principles whatsoever. And basically they run by the Jews, and they run alongside people that hold to the principle that private corporations can do whatever the fuck they want. So it's like, okay, what can I possibly do to help you? You know, what can I do what can I do to stand by my principles and defend you while in every single way, shape, and form you are indefensible? What can I fucking do?
The Holocaust never happened, but it really should have. Signed the alt-right. Yeah, okay, great. That's good messaging.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, congratulations. That's going to win some fucking elections. Put that on a banner. Hitler didn't go far enough. Vote for me. It's like, wow, I'm sure you're going to win all 2 votes in fucking basement dwelling faggots that live in one community. That's all you're going to get. I just
love the slogan, Hitler didn't go far enough, which is basically all I hear from the alt-right at this point. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you like memes are powerful, but the thing is if your politics and you are just toxic and just awful, you're not going to win over any hearts and minds. You're really not.
It's really nuts. It's like, and they don't seem to realize that like they are what they repeatedly do, and so
yeah, absolutely.
People just see what they're doing all the time. Nobody even wants to touch them.
I had this is a while ago. I had somebody, I think, either email me or message me on. I think it was someone messaged me on YouTube, and they asked me, why don't I debate someone on the alt-right and show my face? And I replied to them, yeah, so I can like significantly increase the chances of them looking to go contact my employer and get me fired to fuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I ever in any way do something like that when they show themselves to be really insincere, awful actors? Why would I ever do that?
Like the attacking crowd thing seems a bit hypocritical since the discovery of the alt-right Discord server that I saw floating around on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, you could. I would say do a video on your own channel about that. If you feel like it on your
I don't really want to get into it, but it just makes me think.
I don't really want to get into it either. Wow, the alt-right are hypocrites. Wow, I'm
shocked. Yeah, but it's I can't be bothered to go through the rigmarole of having to deal with it. But it's definitely something where it's just like, wow. Not really bothered about their opinion on what Kraut did, to be honest. And my opinion on what he did is bad enough.
Yeah, so, it's a matter of him lying and being underhanded than it is feeling sorry for the people he actually went after.
Yeah, especially he can't seem to demonstrate any actual harm on the part of the alt-right either. He can't seem to demonstrate. They can't seem to demonstrate. Who got hurt? And, the answer.
I don't know. Okay. I'm still waiting. Anyways, we gotta press on. We gotta press on. We're still on the first article.
Yeah, I know. I've got a lot of fucking shit off my chest.
Anyways, Lost Wing says, Sargon, you've turned a bit cringy. For example, with the Kick V thing, it's a joke, dude. You've lost touch with internet subculture. It makes you look out of touch and up your own ass. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I am out of touch, man. I absolutely am. Like the Kick V.
Did you kick V? Did you kick V from something?
I don't know what's going on with Kick V, and no one wanted to explain it to me, so I had no idea. But
well,
thanks for explaining it, dude. No,
I can say I just spoke.
I'm happy to kick V.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just spoke with V earlier today. Kick V. Hashtag Kick V.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means. I'm happy to boot V from anything.
Let me know what I'm supposed to. Am I supposed to kick V from my Skype friends list? Like what am I kicking V from? Just let me know and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Give me a good size super chat and I'll kick him. Just let me know what I'm supposed to do.
I tell you, I wonder if this is a consequence of me not being on Twitter, because
I haven't seen shit about this. I'm on Twitter. I haven't seen shit.
Really, maybe I don't know, because I used to be fairly down with it when I was on Twitter, but now
tweet that out.
Just like some fucking normie. It's awful. It's terrible. I don't get the inside jokes anymore. That's horrible.
All right, I just tweeted out Kick V. Hashtag Kick V. I don't know what it means, but I'm just going along with it.
I think my Facebook page a lot more like a normal thing as well, because I know there are a lot of normies on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking just basic bitch people.
Yeah, I'm hoping like the Formula One stuff and that.
We'll get to those numbers. You'll be surprised. At least I was by some of those numbers. We'll get to that right after this. So let me go through this.
But I think it's totally normie.
Fraser Danger says, how can you argue against fascism when you know it's the only viable system of government to maintain societal stability when fighting the feminids? Feminids.
The 40K feminists.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that would be true under a system where there's threats all around you. Like, take a look at the United States government during World War II. Holy shit. Was it illiberal? Just go research the history of the United States government during World War II, dude. The rationing and shit that they did back then, the Department of Propaganda, like the United States government during the Second World War was fucking out of control. So when things get tough,
UK government, mate. It was a wartime situation. You can't.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
By Germans.
You guys were getting bombed to shit.
Yeah, there was.
So it makes a little bit sense to be like quasi-fascism when you are literally being bombed into smithereens.
Yeah, but the point is, afterwards, because we weren't under a dictatorship, we went back to being a democracy. The political system, the economy liberalized afterwards.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, the system works. What do you want?
Yeah.
We won World War II and we didn't fall into tyranny. Fucking get wrecked, Russia. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And look how that worked out in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. People talk about like, oh, liberal republics. They say democracy. It's liberal republics. It's like, yeah. Who's the hegemon of the world again? I forget. Somebody name it for me in the fucking chat. Which nation is the hegemon of the world and has been for a couple decades now because the other hegemon literally exploded and collapsed into fucking misery and poverty.
Can we start measuring it in times of decades since last tyrant? Because yeah, exactly. Germany's on what, 8 or something.
Well, that would be the thing.
We're on like 40.
If monarchy was the best form of government throughout the world, why wouldn't there be more direct monarchies, actual true monarchies? Why would it be that the only one that still exists is basically a republic without a constitution?
So sorry, I didn't hear any of that because my headphones are a bit fucked. I need to get some new ones.
Oh, okay. I said that if autocracy or monarchy would be the best form of government, why is it that like the greatest example of a monarchy is one that is basically a republic without a constitution, a written constitution?
Yeah, if freedom's such a bad thing, why is it so successful?
Yeah. I mean, this has been tried out. This has been tried out in the past. This has been vetted in history. Autocracies, like I am more than willing to defend the existence of an autocracy within certain frameworks. Okay, I'm not someone that's a slave to fucking democracy. But the thing is that the greatest nations in the world, the greatest nation in the world in terms of multiple factors, including military, is a democratic republic. So it's possible to live in a functioning society and not be an autocracy. But this is the thing, like you don't even care about that. It's just, well, we're so shitty and retarded that we're unelectable. Therefore, fuck democracy. It's like, okay, then fuck off. Go to the Congo. Go to fucking some other nation if that's the thing. Because we're not changing. We don't need to change.
I agree that you don't need to change. But the thing is, it's not even like they're not even making the right argument for it. Because in principle, it's not better to have an autocracy.
Yeah.
It's just not a good thing to have an absolute monarch. It's not a good thing.
The entire argument is efficacy, from as far as I can tell, because that to me is the only legitimate point to say about autocracy is efficacy. But if you don't have that,
it's not even a feudal society isn't even efficient.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. That's why the United States is the hegemon of the world. Is that we outcompeted literally every other nation competing with us, only until now, where we are governed by fucking international corporatists, where they don't give a shit about anything more than lining their own pockets. And that's why in my opinion, why we're currently seeing a decline in our power in the world, in the significant increase in the power of China. Who's their biggest fucking trading partner? It's not the Congo, it's the United States. So I guess that's another topic for another time, because I read some article, I think it was either from the New York Times or the Washington Post or something, where they're going on about how Trump is enabling China. It's like, no, that is what you fuckers have been doing since normalized trade relations, which was under Nixon. Since then, this country has been in decline, and it has been because of you, because you're only concerned with how much investors are getting on their return. That's all you care about. And because of that, the United States, not just because of our cultural issues, but in terms of that issue, it is in decline.
But what I love about it as well, and just like liberal democracy in general, is that we're not the ones with closed borders. And when tyrannical systems of government come into contact with liberal democracies, they cause revolutions.
Yes, and look what's going on in Iran.
Yeah, well, just look at the Arab Spring.
Yeah,
you know, this is them liberalizing. They wanted freedom. It's like, why? Because it looks good. It looks great, in fact.
yeah.
You know, everything's generally better. I'd rather have first world problems than third world problems. You know, that would be my preference.
It's like, it's the whole thing, and that's ultimately why the neocons are in the end wrong, is they only believe in hard power. Like, if you want to bomb Iran, bomb them with movies. Bomb them with movies and manga. That's what you bomb Iran with. And then they'll do it themselves. They'll overthrow their own system because it's the revolution is preferable to what they have now. Because even though we have a lot of fucking problems here in the West, we're still far superior to these other nations that lack our freedoms.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just demonstrably true. So.
Well, it depends on who you ask in our society with a fringe amount of fucking retards.
It's fucking mental, isn't it?
But, all right. Yeah. So Dale Ritter says, dude, love how these people call you guys nobodies who don't mean shit but still show up just to troll because they're butthurt. You don't want an ethno state. Goes to show how productive they are. That's all I've been saying. You guys don't do anything. You don't
Why
do
are you attacking the SJWs? Why? We're not the ones who are fucking censoring everything and shutting you down and opening the borders, you fucking morons.
Richard Spencer is the only guy that does any kind of rallies or anything.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
But the thing is, it's just like, we agree with you on certain things. Why don't you just go and do those certain things?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we need to lower immigration. Oh, you cucks. What about the people that are over there saying that citizenship is worthless? Why don't you go talk to them, you fucking cocksuckers? This is what I can't stand them because they're useless. They're fucking useless. They don't do anything.
The thing is, the alt-right, I mean, they think that citizenship is futile too. They think it's awful too. That's why they're like, you know, you civic nationalist cuck or whatever. It's like, well, no, I want power over my government. You want to give power to the government. Yes. You want an autocrat. Yeah. You fucking morons. It's like, I don't want that. That's cucking.
You know what would be the best thing in the world is if, let's say, some sort of disaster scenario plays out, and I've said this before myself in terms of like my personal ethics is that if I saw no alternative other than to be an autocrat, I would be an autocrat. And if fascism was the only option, I would be a fascist. But the thing is that fascism always depends on who is the one holding the gun. Whoever holds the gun in the end is the winner. And the alt-right, if they go down this road of, well, we're going to have autocracy, that's only because you think in the end you're going to be the one holding the gun.
Be aware that the people who start the revolutions rarely make it to the end of the revolution.
Yes. Yes. It's the most funny thing about when I see people say that they're revolutionary or whatever. It's like you always think you're going to be the ones in the end holding the gun, because I've always said this about like LARPing or whatever, is that like at the end of the day, you do this all under the presumption that you have rights and that your existence is somehow justified because of your own ego. But at the end of the day, all you need is someone with a gun and has no regard for your life. And then all your rights, all your ego and everything else goes out the fucking window. It doesn't matter. And if that's the system you want to fight for and risk, you're fucking stupid. You're fundamentally fucking stupid because you think in the end, you're going to be the one holding the gun when that may not be the case. And it is a situation, like I said, it's like if, and it's why, like I've, because of my own dangerous job, I've started to have to conceal carry more. And it's because, like, at the end of the day, if it's you or me, it's going to be fucking you. It's not going to be me. And if you think I'm going to hesitate, because especially if I'm in Buffalo again and I'm getting shot at, like, if you think I'm not going to hesitate to pull that trigger, you don't know me. I'm not dying. I'm not dying just to suit your fucking ego.
Self-defense is completely justifiable. That's the thing.
But that's the thing is,
they'll be forcing you to defend yourself because they'll have guns.
they don't understand that what they're calling for is basically the idea that, like, they basically want to have violent competition with people they see as their enemies, but it's like they don't expect them to shoot back. It's like, no, what you're calling for might wind up with you all being dead. Yeah, that's why when I go punch a cop, that's what I'm saying. Literally, go punch a cop, and it will have the same effect. You're just gonna get shot. Like, you don't understand what you're calling for.
You should plan for the worst case scenario. You should be thinking, right, okay, what happens if this goes south? Well, it would be better if I had rights. So it might be better if I don't overthrow the government. It might be better if I try to do things democratically. And this goes for literally any kind of political revolutionary in the modern world, because none of you are equipped to take over a modern state.
Absolutely.
Like, holy shit.
You only set yourselves up to be fucking complete. You only set up your own oppression. That's what it is. You only set up your own oppression.
Yes.
Because look at like the whole Black Lives Matter Antifa thing is that it took a week for Antifa to go from some group nobody's heard of to they're a terrorist threat. We need to oppress them. And I'm not going to disagree with that. They're out there bashing people and potentially shooting people. It's like, yeah, send the government to crush them.
Yes. And like the armed forces at the moment are fucking amazing. Like, you know, the SWAT teams and all that. If you look at what they've got, it's like, fuck, dude. You know, maybe we should.
You have all these cops that are just looking for their chance to pull the trigger. It's like, yeah, let's go out there and be violent. It's just like,
but alternatively, you could vote. You can run for office. You actually have the power to become the government, and you want to get rid of this. And it's like, that's crazy. What you need to do is stand for office.
Yes.
You know, I don't personally want to do that, but someone should.
But this is the thing about when people talk shit about when people talk shit about the liberalist thing. This is what it's all about. It's actually trying to seek out people to put pressure on that are involved in politics, because that is the most effective. It might be the internet issue. I'm not too sure. I could check the chat to see if people are saying I'm cutting out.
Sorry. Oh, it is you cutting out, right? Okay, I thought it was my headphones.
Okay. But my point was that with elections, with politics, that is the most effective means by which to achieve power in a society.
Yeah.
Is to just go into fucking politics.
But the thing is, before you can get a candidate elected on anything you believe, and this goes for anyone, this is not like just the liberalist groups or anything like that. Before you can do that, you have to, like, I don't have a better term than like culture jam the issue. So you have to make the issue one that is in people's minds. And feminism is doing a good job of this at the moment. So like they're doing a good job of putting it there. So we need to get the mainstream understanding certain things, and therefore we should be doing things IRL. As in we should have poster campaigns, meme campaigns like the It's Okay to Be White, have things for more specific causes. You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And that's why I said, you know, I got a little bit of shit from a few people saying that they didn't like that I signed on to the thing day one. And it's just like, well, this is the thing, is that I completely understand what the prerogative is, and that's to directly influence politics. It's not just to circle jerk online forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking about doing an advert and running it on TV. That's just basically a blanket condemnation of feminism, and then an advert for my channel.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, that would be great. That would be a great
Feminism
thing to do.
is tyrannical, man-hating nonsense, as evidenced by Gracie Carey and the Formula One girls. Hates men and women, wants to take them both to take a huge pay cut for its own fucking greed, as these women now lawyer up to sue the BBC. My name's Sargon of Akkad. Go look at my YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah, like, it would be great.
Fuck them, dude. Fuck them. Why not? Why shouldn't I do that? Someone give me a good fucking reason why I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, send it in the super chat. Put a reason why you shouldn't do it. Send it in the super chat. All right, we need to move on because we're like an hour or so in.
I'm talking shit, man. But I just had all this stuff in mind because I've been really busy recently.
Yeah,
and just like there's just a lot we can do. I'm just sick of the kind of ego growing of the like infighting and stuff. It's just like it's not affecting anything, and they're taking over. You have to understand they are taking over.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Next super chat. We're not even through the super chats. Jesus. Sinatra says Kick V. Ultra Grade says, I'm for your movement, man, but I think some of the trolling is getting to you slowly over time. An example, I guess, your response to the alt-right criticism Even Andy and Styx have been critical of you lately. I don't know if that's true. I haven't seen Styx say anything. I follow Styx's channel. I haven't seen him say anything.
Yeah, I follow his channel too.
Andy went on a rant the other day, like bitching at me or whatever, and so like he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna rip this guy a new one." It's just like, and then he never reached out to me. So, guys, when it comes to Andy Worski, I don't take him very seriously. So if he wants to
be a really nice guy.
He can reach out to me if he wants to. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. He can reach out to me if he really wants to talk to me or rip me a new one. I'm right here. So if he wants to, you can get in contact with me. But I don't otherwise take him seriously.
He's acting like that way as well. Because I mean, when I met him at VidCon, he was a really nice guy. I got on really well with the Warskis. In fact, they were just really chill.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about him other than he's been working out a little bit lately, and he needs to stop being. He needs to be a little bit less of a drama whore.
Well, I guess it must be getting to me. So.
Oh yeah. Timothy Riggs says, for both of you, you would would you consider posting a recommendation reading list, actual books, so that those of us interested can get a better grasp of the underpinnings of your principles and philosophies? Leave that to you.
That's something I've been planning to do for ages. I'll put a new tab.
Put it on the Liberalist site.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll put it on the site with a description of each thing. I just haven't got around to writing them up yet. But just a short paragraph, to tell you about why the book's important and what you'll expect to learn in it. Because people are going to have specific areas of interest.
It's a good idea, Tim.
Yeah, it is a good idea.
Lost Wing says Kick V is a Kumite thing. It has more to do with his voice and how he's on streams a lot. It's like my bourgeois social norms. So I guess it's a
yeah, fair enough.
To kick or not to keck or not to keck says for £5. The sheer amount of gay figureheads, including soy boys like woes, is another thing the alt-white have in common with SJWs, right-wing SJWs. My thing is that they talk a lot of shit about impregnating white women, and then they don't do a lot of that, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like them. Is they give shit to me like you're out there praising fucking showing this degenerate bullshit involving Asian women. It's like, okay, go out there and fuck the land whales living in the trailer.
Have you looked at the white women recently?
Yeah, go fuck the land whales living a few blocks away from me in the trailer park. Go fuck them. Feel free. You have no competition with me. Go fuck them.
And yeah, you're going to be wildly successful, dude. You're going to really improve the white race.
Oh yeah. Weeb says this is the last super chat for now. V did 9/11. I agree.
I think he probably did, yeah.
He linked up with the Romanians, linked up with the Saudi Arabians.
V Laden.
V Laden.
Transylvania.
Transylvania and fucking Saudi Arabia. That's how you know. They rhyme. So this is some Pew Research where they basically show that social media is actually exploding, and it's across the board. Even with Twitter, it's growing.
Really?
Yes. So you have with young, but it depends on which demographic you're talking about. Like LinkedIn, which it's for resumes. It's not really social media, in my opinion. It's very big with college-educated people between 30 and 49, but when it comes to Instagram and Snapchat, especially, 82% of people under the age between the ages of 18 and 29 are on fucking Snapchat. 82%. That's fucking ridiculous. Or I guess I should say the percentage of the people on Snapchat are between the ages of 18 and 29, and that's a very big percentage. But they go on to say that it's actually growing, and it's increasingly less. Like, look at this, between like news websites compared to like cable television, especially newsprint, it's incredibly smaller. So this research pretty much contends to say that there's a reason why the alternative media is growing, and it isn't just growing with people that are 12 years old. It's growing between 18 to 49. It's growing. Yeah.
It's just functionally more useful than the old media.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the problem that the old media has. It's got lots of money, it's got lots of production value, but it's just not as immediate. When I want to know something, I'm not going to the old.
I use fucking Twitter for basically all my news.
Yeah.
I also use YouTube as well for news. Let's see here. Oh yeah, let's get to this positive news.
This is good stuff.
That.
Sorry, not that.
No, we'll get to the other article in a second.
Yeah,
but
that's good for James DeWall, man. I tell you. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I am not exactly happy with the situation and the fact that the population of Muslims in the United States continues to grow, and it's not growing. It's not growing to an extreme degree, but it's growing to a degree that I would like to see some sort of actual. Obviously this is just them. It's like a short snippet and them just reporting on. And there's actually one of these aspects of faith that I'm going to be talking about as one of the failures of conservatives in the United States, that most religions are dropping in the United States significantly in terms of people following them. But it's one of the very few on the definite incline is Islam.
Yeah, but that's probably due to breeding rather than.
No, it's a failure of conservatives and culture. Religion across the board is stalling out in the United States, and they have no answer to that. It's just, oh, you're a fucking atheist. Go tip your fedora, you faggot.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
it's a trend that's happening, and it's really advanced in Europe. It's not that these people become believers in something else. It's just they're just not believers.
Yes, but the thing is that in the United States, we are, in terms of the Western modernized world, like the advanced economies, we are significantly more religious than many of the other nations. But that is now turned to the opposite, and there are a growing number of I guess you could say, basically apathetic Christians, atheists, and just general non-religious people. That's growing. And the thing is that there is no conservative response to it. It's just, oh, go tip your fucking fedora. And it's like, okay, while you're telling me to go do that and I'm doing literally nothing to advance the cause of atheism, this is like, these statistics don't fucking lie.
That's why we don't need to do anything about it.
Well, that's the thing, is that the atheist movement is largely dead.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't need to exist. People are becoming atheists of their own accord.
Yeah. And so it's been one of the things that it's not really to say, like, it's not even like an argument in the truth value of atheism or the lack of belief in a God, but it is to say that despite the hand-wringing of conservatives who are often conservative or Christian identitarians, regardless of their moralizing about that and hand-wringing, the numbers are going in the complete opposite direction of which they would like. And so my criticism to them is, okay, these are the numbers. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I would like to hear genuinely an actual argument from a conservative to say how you turn these numbers around. How do you do it?
Honestly, I would not be unhappy to have to argue with Christians anymore, because after dealing with the SJWs, it would just be nice.
Well, the thing is the thing I'm concerned about from a pragmatic case is that I've met more than enough Christians in my lifetime to say that most Christians, heavy majority, are completely fucking innocuous people. Yeah. The irritating Christians aren't even very Christian people, very religious people. It's the Christian identitarians, which I'll talk more about in that video. It's people that tie Christianity to their ego. Yeah. They are fucking insufferable, and they're authoritarian.
Yeah, it's just another manifestation of identitarianism.
With those people, basically, my point to them would be is that, and they have a point, in that there are a lot of people leaving Christianity and then becoming progressive.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is that, in my opinion, they're not becoming non-religious. They're substituting one ideology for another. And it's just as dogmatic.
This is interesting, actually, because someone actually sent me an article about the Catholic, like for the liberalists, that I haven't published because I haven't had time to fact check it through yet. But he's talking about the Catholic origins of social justice. And I spoke to Academic Agent a while ago, and we had a similar conversation about this, where he just brought up it came from Catholicism in like the 1840s, and that was the root of it. And so it doesn't surprise me that religious people find it to be spiritually comforting, because I've said this before. I think the SJWs find spiritual comfort and
Absolutely.
sustenance from
Look at the
social
fucking
justice.
those chants at that. Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
less so at the cafe, but more at the colleges, where they're literally holding hands chanting.
Yeah, and it's because the ones in the UK know that it's kind of silly. They don't see it in a religious light. They just want to be.
In the United States, they do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
They're fucking in the United States, man. We make them crazy in this country when it comes to.
But we're a really non-religious society, especially with young people. It's like, you know, we're just totally irreligious, really, and it's not just that. Like, it's just widely accepted that life is secular. You know, public life is secular.
It's amazing to me that you have that with a state religion.
Yeah, but I know, right? It's actually incredible because it's a real social faux pas to start like talking about your religion. It's cringy,
except for the Muslims.
Well, that's the point. That's what makes the Muslims really cringy, because like on a cultural level, the general attitude is your religion is personal to you, and it's like keep it to yourself. You know, it's not someone else's problem.
Yeah, I'm going to end this article by saying, alt-right, I'd like to hear your response to this, and I can already predict it. It's going to be, oh, look at these sand niggers. Hitler did nothing wrong. And then,
1488.
Put that on a banner, guys.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next here? No, let's not do that yet. I guess we'll do this article. So I haven't read this article in full yet.
No,
but I saw James Damore tweet this out, and it appears to be in some way a conception by Susan Wojcicki, who is the CEO of YouTube, who, before we get to anything, even if we are doing this on YouTube, I'm going to say this loudly and clearly, she is unbelievably incompetent as the CEO of this company. She is an incompetent, and she needs to fucking go. I don't care what Sundar Pichai thinks of her. Sundar Pichai, you fucking cuckold West Coast faggot. Get rid of her. I don't know if I have to become a shareholder of Alphabet for this to change, but she is incompetent. Get rid of her.
Dude, they honestly are seeing themselves in the new saviors, right? I was watching this just this interview on Tucker Carlson, where the guy was he wasn't the CEO of a company, I don't think, but he was a really high up guy in a company, and Tucker was asking him why he was being such a progressive cuck, and this guy was literally saying, "Well, it's our mission to help people," and he's like, "No, you're a corporation. It's your mission to make money, isn't it?" And this guy just totally didn't believe that was the point of him doing what he did in his company, and it's like, right, okay, so you have like fundamentally different worldviews, and you've got to understand, like, the profits are secondary to these people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They don't care. You know, or they only care as far as they can afford to not care. You know,
well, that's the thing. I think that with a lot of these corporations, because they have so little competition, that they don't even give a shit about like, well, profits. That's just a fucking guarantee, bro. Because let's say you're a company and you are in real trouble to survive. Do you think you're fucking around with all this social justice nonsense?
That's why
I don't think so.
Had to reject it. It was killing their sales as a business. They were suffering, and they had to acknowledge it. But Google isn't at that point yet. Google is luckily staffed by brilliant minds because they could afford the best and brightest.
Well, they're staffed outside of the management.
Well, yeah, of course, the engineering core.
Yeah,
but even then, they've got the same culture foisted upon them. They just.
And I got to say this to the capitalists that are out there, especially. I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback by the. It's amazing how I think I am very accurate in my descriptions of certain groups of people, and it's amazing to me how little pushback they even offer me on points when I say something like this. Is that there are people in American society, especially, that hold to the idea that capitalism is a worldview. Capitalism is a viewpoint by which you can understand everything in reality. And when things such as corporations take ideological stances and they are basically going against people, otherwise, like they have no solution to that. It's basically like, well, obviously a company is going to rise up and take out Google. It's okay. Why isn't that happening, capitalists? Why isn't that happening? Why aren't there hedge funds, investors going out creating the new Google, and etc.? Why isn't that happening?
That's a good question, actually. Notch,
So
what are you doing?
It's
man?
one of the. Well, that's the thing. It can't be. The thing is with investment is that it's from a lot of different people that things happen, and it's not. And the thing is too is about social media websites, especially news outlets. All it takes is 2 rounds with investors. You have somebody that shops around through investors and says, "Look, we have this outlet. It's going to give general progressive talking points, but otherwise further war efforts and government contracts." People are going to go, "Oh, man, I can make some good money there. It sounds like a healthy investment. I'll invest in Boeing, and then they'll push propaganda for me, and then I'll make a lot of money. Oh, I'll support that." And then that's where websites like Mike and others come from.
I don't know, Mike, I think Mike are actually quite ideological.
Mike is 100%, and I've talked about this in the past. Mike 100% is a corporatist website with. Yes, I think I've talked about it with you before that they were started.
Honestly, everything I see on Mike is just hugely ideological. Maybe it's my own confirmation bias.
You need to look a little bit closer, in my opinion. Take a look at editors, upper management people. Take a look what they have to say about the economy. Take a look.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
And you'll see them making talking points about globalization being a healthy thing and yada 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 and support for government contracts.
Yeah, it's kind of like the progressives' marriage to neoliberalism.
Yes,
it's like we hate neoliberalism, except it just happens to agree with almost everything we think.
I've already told you about. You might have forgotten, but I already told you. Do you know where Mike came from?
I think you might have told me this in the past, but I can't remember.
Mike was started. It existed under a different name by a couple progressive corporatists. And they went to the Obama administration because they had political ties, and they said, "Hey, you want to push Obamacare on young people to buy in, and we want to get all kinds of money from your investors that you have ties to. So we go to your insurance company investors, and you get us money to start this website, and we will just propagandize in favor of Obamacare." And that's exactly what happened. And that's why they exist. They are the mouthpiece of fucking Wall Street. And that's why I'm not a progressive, because I am not a slave to fucking capitalism.
I really do hate progressive corporatist alliance. It's fucking grim.
It's very real, and that's the thing is that if I had a progressive contact me, like a decent sized progressive, say, "Oh, fucking Louis, come debate me," it's like, okay, let's have this fucking debate because you're gonna get fucking wrecked. I would wreck any fucking progressive because all I would do is I would first butter them up to the idea that corporate America is evil, and then I just lay corporate America at their fucking feet. And I'd say, okay, who the fuck side do you think corporate America is on?
Yeah.
And I would fuck them in the ass with that.
They're
Anyways,
not promoting the alt-right, are they? They're not.
No, they're not.
They're busy taking a giant shit on Jordan Peterson at the moment. It's like, are you fucking insane?
I can show you articles of corporations and billionaires that are in favor of open borders, that sign a letter saying they're in favor of open borders. I want you to name me a single CEO that openly says that he's in favor of Trump. Find me one. Find me one.
Peter Thiel, probably.
Oh, maybe.
But,
maybe.
But he's a massive fucking outsider,
Oh yeah, and he is not liked.
Yeah, he's like Satan or the Mercers or someone like that. It's like. These people.
Oh, those are the Breitbart people. Do you know much about the Mercers? Because I've heard people talk about them in relation to Breitbart.
Yeah, but they're treated like villains as well. Like Steve Bannon is a strategist, and they're treating him like he's fucking Sauron. It's like, okay, well,
he's gone now.
Oh yeah, I know, but when he was in. But,
anyways, let's get to this article. So the lack of diversity in tech isn't a new issue, yet top leaders in Silicon Valley still struggle to talk about it. Written by a bourgeois white bitch. The latest stumble comes from YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki speaking with MSNBC's Ari Melber and Recode's Kara Swisher at the company's first town hall titled Revolution Google. Okay, stop.
Revolution and Google and YouTube changing the world. I mean, they couldn't be more open about what they're doing.
Yeah, well, dude, have you seen the propaganda from Google where they openly support the migrant crisis and open borders? Yeah. They are insanely far left.
Hey, I know that thousands of people have died because of this. directly because of this, but we're really in favor of it.
Yeah, we also get cheap labor. So, it's just a coincidence, though. Just a coincidence that we get all the cheap labor.
Yeah, yeah. And if you send them back to their countries, they're going to die. They're all going to die if they go home.
Whatever.
According coming from non-war countries.
Yeah,
it's honestly, I fucking hate that.
If you come to America, it's going to be a bad thing because you are literally going to die if we send you back. No.
Yeah, exactly. Just stay where you are, just in case, because we've got a really deporty president at the moment. Yeah. He's deporting loads of people. So fucking just stay where you are for your own safety.
Yeah. They actually see ICE, and I used to not like. I still to some degree have criticisms of ICE as an organization because they can be kind of over the top in the way that they do things. But the thing is that the system that is set up that is basically adversarial to them is so fucking bureaucratic and ridiculous that you can understand why they may be overzealous. Because go ahead.
Police will literally let brown people rape white girls.
Oh, I don't like somebody like here's the thing about like the whole issue of racism. Like if I ever was on television, like I myself was sitting on television and somebody said, do you hold an anti-Muslim bias? I would probably say, yeah, generally I do. And they say, oh, you're a racist, blah, blah, blah. What describe to me one reason why you would ever hold that opinion? I just go, Rotherham. That'd be my one word fucking answer to that. Rotherham. That's why I don't like
our fucking police are actually the sort of people who will tweet about whether you have a butter knife.
Yeah, I know. Your police. I thought your police were actually like really serious types, but holy shit!
No, they are really serious types. They're really serious SJW types.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like I said this before. We need to trade police forces just for like a little while. Just have like a like what is it called? Where you basically an exchange program for cops. Where United States police officers can go over to the UK and it's like literally there's a fucking bunch of jihadis. It's like, oh yeah, let's just kill them all. They're coming at us with a machete, just shoot them down. Well, we solved the problem.
They can shoot to kill jihadis in this country, so that's not the problem.
Well, I just mean generally the lack of tolerance, let's say.
Well, yeah. The problem is that there are aspects of SJW morality that are being actively enforced by the UK police, and they get kind of predatory about it and things like this. And it's like, this is awful, you know?
Yeah.
We are a country that put comedians on crime for on trial for non-PC jokes. We are honestly fucked. Don't ever accept the hate speech law. I'm just saying.
You guys are desperate in the need for a First Amendment. You desperately need it.
You have no idea how fucking awful it is. It's thousands of people a year.
If something like that was going to happen, how would it be done? Like, how would you actually? Yeah.
This is the thing. We'd have to bring it to the public's consciousness. Bring it really sharply into focus that our society is being taken over by Marxist ideologues. We have to stop complying with these people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think all of this goes back down to the level of these lunatic university professors that are actively pushing out generations of fucking crazy activists. And that ultimately, when it comes down to it, is that this starts, and this is going to be one of my major criticisms of conservatives, is to some degree, you are aware of the problem and you would allow it to exist. So, because I mean, put me in Congress tomorrow, and that'd be the first fucking thing I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs about on the floor of Congress. We need to pass some kind of legislation to defund the social sciences of every university funded by public dollars. Like, give me one opportunity to do it, and I would do it. It'd be my entire fucking time. Because the thing is, I ultimately know that in the end, it would ultimately come back to the argument between conservatives and actual principle liberals. That would be what the debate would turn back to.
They would have no choice. But like Jordan Peterson says, they're pumping out revolutionaries. Like Google say, they're revolutionaries. These people think of themselves as revolutionaries against liberal democracy. It's like, okay. And capitalism, it's like, no, It's like, you know, and equal rights. The idea of actual like civic equality is what they
Yeah,
oppose.
that's currently what Google is being sued by, and it looks to
Yeah,
be a very solid case for them losing in
yeah.
terms of them actively discriminating against people based on gender, skin color, political viewpoints, even, which I don't think is actually there's a law against that, but it definitely can add to the damages in civil cases.
This is why the BBC, they're actually just pressuring the people to take voluntary pay cuts and not actually forcing them to have pay cuts.
Right.
Because under British law, that would be fucking illegal and they'd get sued.
Yeah, because with Google, and that was one of the things with James Damore, as he warned, it's like literally, it was like part of his thing was, if this ever gets out, this is going to open us up to so many lawsuits, and then they fired him. He's suing them for that exact thing. Yeah, I hope Google gets fucked so hard. I hope James Damore walks out with like $200 million in his pocket.
And start something fucking amazing.
I hope they get fucked so bad. Because the thing is that ultimately in the United States, is eventually it's going to have to come back to the shareholders, where the shareholders that run this goddamn society are going to have to ask, okay, at what point are profits more important than progressive politics? At what point is the return on our investment more important and more crucial than progressive politics? Because in the end, these are all publicly traded companies. None of them are private.
It will eventually come back to bite them. The problem is Silicon Valley, though. It's like it's like a monopoly on ideology.
Yeah.
You know, everyone there has to be progressive. So all of these fucking companies fought, like, what was the other video site that closed down recently?
Oh, VidMe.
VidMe, yeah. They were not really different to YouTube in many ways.
No, they weren't. They weren't a very good alternative.
No, they really weren't. And it's not that I didn't like the site. The site was just fun, but they weren't particularly different. And I mean, if they were, then maybe they could have made more of a splash.
Yeah,
maybe
you can't at this point in time, you can't be YouTube with a different skin. You have to definitely distinguish yourself. And that to me is, despite my hangups with Gab, that is ultimately one of Gab's real strong suits, is that it goes well out of its way to distinguish itself from Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a political statement to use Gab, which is why Donald Trump should open an account on Gab. That would be, I mean, Twitter would freak out and their stock would plummet.
Oh yeah, if you went to Gab, that would be a very fucking big deal.
I mean, it would just be seismic.
Yeah, it would.
The balance of power would shift overnight. In terms of social,
because all the fucking journals would have to get accounts over there, and they would be under fucking siege all day. And it'd be amazing to see them go to the CEO as such an asshole and ask him for a favor.
Yeah. Oh, Jack, save me! No, fucking what's the guy who owns Gab again? Andrew. Or
Andrew Torben. He like the thing is, I don't hate the guy or anything like that. He is kind of an asshole, like a legitimate asshole. Yeah, but it's I
do not mind that because he's being an asshole to them.
I would love to see the journos run to him about somebody's behavior.
Yeah, but you know, Jack's a fucking asshole too.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a passive aggressive. He's a passive aggressive bitchy asshole.
Exactly. He's an asshole too. It's just that Andrew isn't a coward.
No, he's very upfront.
Yeah. I can admire that over Jack. Yeah. You know, that's enough for me to pick him as my.
You know what's funny is that I've been contacted in the last few things. I had somebody today, a longtime follower of mine, come to me and said that he got banned for 12 hours from Twitter. He goes, "All I did was say the word nigger and I got banned. And you say all kinds of really crazy shit." And I said, "Yeah, I say borderline shit all the time on Twitter, and I have never been banned, never had any kind of timeout. I don't know if I've ever had to delete any tweets or anything."
Sucks, man.
It's just amazing. And I think it's because that ultimately, like, either I've gone under the, and the thing is, I've had months where I've had like millions of impressions. So it's like, I don't understand is how, like, I'm so under the radar on Twitter when I do tweet out some pretty borderline shit. Even the other day I had, Man, I think it might be tweeting out my pro intermixing shit. I think that's what's getting me the forgiveness, is that somebody's looking at my account and going like, "Well, I don't know, this person seems to be pretty pro white genocide, so I don't know."
The thing is, that must suck though, because like for like a hardcore culture warrior who actually wants to have an effect on the mainstream, a day they go without writing an article on you is a day wasted. This is why Jordan Peterson is our most valuable weapon at the moment.
Oh
He's
yeah, dude,
absolutely killing it.
he
His name is everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. He has a lot of press right now, a lot.
Yeah, and every time he goes on TV, he looks good because he's well educated as fuck. He's very polite. He's very friendly, and he knows what he's talking about.
And he's also very articulate, despite some of his like affectations and mannerisms and stuff. He's very articulate.
They just serve to make him charming and memorable.
Yes.
And so when he pauses just to find the words, it's just like everyone's just like, "What the fuck's he gonna say?" no one interrupts him when he's doing it.
He's great. It's really is. It's funny to watch him to go out there and to be just himself. I think that a lot of people give him shit about. I know I've seen like Mr. Medicare give him shit about some of his like, oh, he's very basic in his philosophy and what he pushes forward. And it's like, well, that's the thing is that, like in my opinion, it's like, yeah, some of the stuff he can say can be really straightforward and the rest. But the thing is that he's so straightforward in delivering it, and that he's so effective in his articulation that I think it makes him, like you said, very powerful as a weapon. Like, even if it is basic information, he's so effective in articulating it that he's worth it.
When they say it's basic information, what they're saying is, I already agree with him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's basic to you because you already believe this, but there are people who literally don't.
Yeah,
the SJW worldview is just literally different to yours. You don't think it's good to be a victim. They do. Imagine how that changes your worldview.
Yeah.
Your stuff that you're saying about Jordan Peterson, that's basic. Well, to you, because it's what you believe. But these people don't understand any of this.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. The thing is that like I said, I do think they have a point to him being somewhat simplistic in some of the answers he gives and people's hangups on his religious dimension and all that. But the thing is that if you look on the whole of what he's actually arguing in favor of, he is very fucking good. And I don't think that should be something that's just dismissed. I think people are a bit too dismissive towards Jordan Peterson. I really do.
Totally agree. And he's not wrong. That's the thing. Like, no one ever says,
and by all means, like, if he says some stupid shit, make a video on it. Put a thing about it on Twitter. But the thing is that 95% of the time, outside of whatever stupid shit he may have to say about religion or what have you, he's saying some really good things. And people are sitting there going, hamina, 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 because they have no fucking answer.
And the thing
so what you're saying is gas the Jews and women.
This is what people forget. It's like, if you just say, hi, I just think this, he'll listen to you. He's a fucking psychologist. His job is listening to people.
Yeah.
Don't treat him like some like pontificating politician. And you'll find that I've talked to him personally, and I've talked to him several times, and he is a perfectly good guy. There's no need to treat him badly. He's trying to understand people.
And I would definitely say that this is the real difference between somebody that holds the style of him versus that of a Ben Shapiro or Tucker Carlson, because their primary function is just debating.
Yeah.
Just winning an argument. And I think with Jordan Peterson, he wins arguments, but he's also actually insightful and personally listening to the person who's speaking. And that's why he's so effective.
Yeah. I would love to see people press Ben Shapiro on the Jewish question, though.
the Jewish question.
Yeah, I think it's the funniest thing.
I'm sure he would go insane. He seems to be really touchy about that kind of stuff.
Doesn't he just?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a Jewish conspiracy, but every time Ben Shapiro explains to me that there isn't a Jewish conspiracy, I start thinking, well, maybe.
Well, he seems to have a real hang up about it, even though people, I do think, call him out rightly, because he has some weird beliefs that are hypocritical, like, he's a quote-unquote libertarian. I had some people give me shit about this. He said it himself. He's a libertarian on immigration. But when it comes to Israel, are you still a libertarian there, Ben Shapiro? No, you're not. So he's kind of a hypocrite on a few different things. And it's why I don't really take him too seriously, but certain people do.
I swear to God, I reckon immigration is one of the key weaknesses of libertarianism.
Oh, dude, you better believe it.
If you're for open borders in the current political climates,
oh, dude, you are
you're just
politically dead. You are politically dead if that's what you're in favor of. Because the thing is, you could be beaten down in the United States, in the UK, and Canada, or maybe not Canada, but you could be beaten down generally in the West to say like, oh, you don't say anything because you'll be declared a racist and you'll lose your fucking job. But when people show up to the fucking ballot boxes, it's very clear which way they're voting.
It really is, and the thing is, I totally sympathize with it. I'm not pro mass immigration at all. I don't think any country needs an influx of another country's working class. You know, they've got enough problems of their own.
Well, that's honestly the best. Well, it's not necessarily the best you're going to get, but it's like that's the more optimistic view, is that you're going to get a decent working class and not a herd of fucking useless rapists. Because holy shit. Well, no, the thing is it depends where they're fucking coming from. It depends who they are, because it's like, oh, here's a 60-year-old, Muslim guy from Indonesia. It's like, oh yeah, what does he do for a living? Oh, he's a working class guy. It's like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna really do anything. But here's a 20-something-year-old from Pakistan. No, I think we're okay without him.
All I'm saying is that's a really uncharitable characterization. I mean, many of them are thieves as well.
Not the thing is that I think that the older the older generations seem to be okay.
The statistics for like 2016 came out last year, and it was something like 300,000 muggings, and it's like, hang on, if 1 million of them came in, that means literally 1 in 3 of them is a mugger. At the very,
it's gotten so bad that they're mugging the Romanians.
Wow, that is bad. No, but seriously though, those are some pretty amazing stats to let him 300,000 muggers into your country.
Well, that's the thing. Is do you think it's females? Do you think it's Muslim females doing that?
It's mostly men.
Yeah, exactly. We know but the thing is, who's coming? That's the question. Who's coming? It's young men.
I mean, yeah, I've had comments from people in Syria because they have the internet, and they say, yeah, I know someone who went on the migrant crisis. He was a dick. Like they're not they're the sort of people who would go and take advantage of someone else's country if they're not coming from like an actual war-torn area. If you're not coming from a war-torn area, you're not a refugee. And if you're coming from like Algeria or Morocco, you're clearly taking advantage.
Right. The only mass immigration that I'm willing to defend, and I'm going to do a video on it hopefully this month, and I'm going to talk about immigration. It's going to be in part talking about the issues of immigration and how I'm generally
mass immigration into Israel, isn't it, Louis?
No. It's the mass immigration from a select few East Asian nations into the United States,
right, okay, yeah,
and how if you want to basically argue in favor of an ethno state in the United States, we should ultimately just bend the knee to the Asians, because they are phenomenal immigrants, and they're very fucking productive, and it's statistically crazy how much so.
They do appear to be making the white race a bit more attractive as well, to be honest, don't they? Asian white mixes are not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought you were going. Yeah. That's what's roving millennial has going for.
That's what a lot of them have going for them, apparently. At least the ones I see pictures of on your Twitter.
Keanu Reeves half white? Isn't Keanu Reeves half white?
I don't know.
I think he is.
No fucking idea.
He hasn't aged in like 40 years, though.
Yeah, good on him. I remember going to see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when I was like 12.
Yeah, take a look at the way he looks back then, and take a look at him now, but shave off the beard. The beard makes him look artificially older. Anyways, we'll get to this fucking article. So according to Wojcicki, one reason for the lack of women in tech is its reputation for being a very geeky male industry. Oh, that's right. Same with gaming. That's why it's still like,
we need more women in there.
With gaming, it's hilarious because I did a rant about this where I was responding to somebody in my comment section, but I deleted it because it required too much work for me to salvage it. But in gaming today, it's one of the reasons why I'm done. It's still very close to, like, if you just look at shooters, like shooter RPGs, racing games, sports games, et cetera, it's still like a 90% to 10% split between men to women. It's still insanely dominated by men. But it's like, oh no, well, what about the fucking mobile games? And what about the fucking Sims? What about MMORPGs? And it's like, okay, if you include the simulation games and the fucking phone games, it gets it closer to like 70 fucking 30. And in the end, it's like, you know, what does it fucking matter? It's the whole thing is that, like, what does this fucking matter? How it seems a very geeky male industry. It's like, okay, listen, you're either interested in it or you're fucking not. You know, I'm so interested in sports. I just wish it would cater to every single fucking demand I have. Are you really interested in it then?
I mean, it's not like they're ever going, well, we've got serious neckbeard underrepresentation in certain sports. I'd be like, yeah, but that doesn't really appeal to me. And they're going, okay, but we want to make it appeal to you. It's like, yeah, but you'd have to fundamentally change the nature of what it is.
Yes.
So, like, if you wanted me to be a footballer, you'd probably have to change it so I sat playing video games.
What I love about the gaming industry. What I love about the gaming industry is that, like, people are saying, like, oh yeah, well, we need to fucking, you know, change our games to chase after this phantom female audience. And it's like, listen, why don't you try making less shit sequels? Have you ever thought about that? Less fucking garbage sequels, and maybe it'll be more appealing and sell more. But no, let's just chase this phantom audience of women that aren't interested in fucking video games.
Do you know what pisses me off, right? Is that I had this fucking amazing idea for a mechanic system for a game, and I don't want to talk about it because it's gonna
get patented.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna fucking make it first, but I really want to make it, but I just can't. So I've got to fucking work all the time. I've got to read books all the time. I'm fucking do like this stuff all the time, and it's like I can't wait for the culture war to be over.
Well, when you inevitably become a politician, you'll have plenty of time then.
Oh fuck, man! I don't like to become a politician. I really don't. Like, I just can't be fucking bothered.
Well, the thing is that, like, what I love, and you and I have had this conversation. We had this conversation, I think, a long time ago, where we were arguing about politics and the ability to actually have a presence in politics. And you continue to say, you said then what you say now is that you don't want to get involved in politics. And I said to you, and this still holds true, that like the amount of desire that I would have to be in power, should I have that opportunity, it would be overwhelming and all consuming. I would take the power that would then be offered to you to take power in politics. I would seize in a fucking second.
I just don't really want to. And the thing is, it would be so much work. Whereas,
well, the thing is that, like, it's the desire for power. I think we talked about this a long time ago. It's the desire for power. Is that you ultimately don't want to be like any kind of real powerful person in society in terms of, like, in politics itself. Like the work to you, the bullshit, all that experience would be so negative that it wouldn't be worth the power. But in my opinion, it absolutely would be. And that is the difference. And that's why when people ask why there's so many like screwball whack job people attracted to politics, it's because of that reason. That's the short version. For something, man? Because it requires a few things. It requires connections, and it requires money and time. Those are the
connections to the alternative media. We've got
it's power, dude. It's powerful. Like the thing about people like PewDiePie is that it's powerful now, but consider it 10 years in the future, and then you and I can talk about it. Because when the mainstream media ultimately bends the knee to alternative media, which based on the numbers, that's going to happen at some point, based on the generation distinctions. When that happens and mainstream politics or politicians are going to YouTubers and going to alternative media figures for, to draw eyes and to draw interest and to make their position, when that happens, and all I need is the ability to, know Felix or know JonTron, know some powerful people in terms of drawing eyes, baby, you better believe I'm going to be stepping into the ring.
Okay, but what I mean is you could start small, be the mayor of your town. Like run for mayor, run for a local office, right? I reckon we could get quite a lot of alternative media behind you, just as a point of principle.
Sure, I absolutely I'm definitely aware of that fact, but it's just a matter of
we could have like organized campaigns in your favor, dude.
Oh, absolutely. But it's just a matter of like the iron, like you have to wait for the prime opportunity to step in the ring. Like if you look at somebody, for example, with Kirsten Gillibrand, it's one of the articles I'm going to be talking about, not here, but in another stream, where she has completely, and I've talked about this in a video where people thought it was boring or whatever, but I talked about power politics and the fact that she was aware that the time was now to put the knife in the back of Hillary Clinton.
You are such a cuck, right? Okay, listen. The advantage of having read so much military history is there's always a ready quote that completely blows what you're saying out of the water. And this one will be from Hannibal. You either find a way or you make one, right? If you go and register yourself for any fucking office that you will actually hold, and then someone in the press might actually want to talk to you, I will come to your city and fucking hold a big fucking festival or something. I'm not kidding. Right? I will get people who have a voice. I have a surprising number of contacts. I will bring people there.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. Let's just put it like that. I'll keep that in mind.
Speech on the fucking stage as to why you should be the mayor.
I would say that
you have a completely packed, friendly house.
The thing that is holding me back as to something like that is that I'm currently not in the position financially to do something like that. I'm still not in a position where I
set up a GoFundMe that I can share.
Well, let's just.
What do you need money for? Just write fucking thing, dude.
To make sure that I have the financial stability so that if I had one of these people contact my employer and fuck my life, that it wouldn't completely destroy me. If I was in here's the difference maker, right? Is when I eventually, and if let's say this happens, if I eventually go public with my face, that's when the time may be, for me to do something like that. Because then I'll be no longer.
It'll be porn off your fucking Twitter profile, right?
Oh, well, that's the thing is that that ultimately the what Styx Hexenhammer calls the missing link media, they would come down on me, like no one else.
Good. No, you embrace.
But the thing is that ultimately I wouldn't care because they're fucking progressives. I don't fucking care.
Exactly. You embrace that and reject them wholesale, Donald Trump did. Just on everything. Just be like, fuck you guys. Literally, I don't care about anything any of you say. You're all professional liars. This is just a fucking battle to win a position. And so, okay, fine, we'll fight it like that. Everything they say is wrong. Here's my ideas. They're good ideas. Listen to me. I will give you as much backing as I possibly can. And fucking, we try and get you elected to somewhere.
Like I said, if things go the way, because with my life right now, it could go one of two ways. Like with my job currently, if I continue to do it and I do it effectively enough, it may eventually come down to the fact where I could go the route of more or less leaving YouTube behind and potentially joining the FBI. That is very much a possibility with my life, with the way things are proceeding. Or it could be, if my channel grows or whatever, I become a bigger figure or whatever, and I get more interested in politics and I go that route and I have enough time and money at my disposal.
The way to make that happen would be to get involved in politics. Because you don't have the time to commit to being a full-time YouTuber.
Right, but the thing is that, like I said, right now, I am not currently in the position where I could take that risk. That's my position on it. But if I were to be in the position where if the full weight of the opposition fucked my life up, if
you have a Patreon account, don't you?
Yeah.
So put a reward tier on that of what, $4,000 a month or something?
And yeah, well, that's the other thing is I haven't really calculated the amount of money that would be required for me to quit my job.
Whatever the amount would be, right? But just calculate it. And if people think that's an acceptable amount to have you go quit your job, go and register and become an independent or whatever,
local politician.
Yeah, whatever you have to do to get wherever to get any kind of office, then we will make the case for it. And if you can make a good case for it, maybe it'll happen. Because it's not like I won't tell people about this because this is important.
Right. Yeah, because it would be a notch in the belt, so to say.
Damn right. And it would be someone in the institutions, because that's what we lack, is people who are really understanding of this sort of thing in the institutions themselves. And literally, this goes for fucking anyone. right? If I know you, if I can character vet you, if I can be sure of the sort of personality of the sort of person you are, that you have decent character, I'm happy to back any of those people who want to go into politics.
Yeah. Do you think you would go to like a Jacob Rees-Mogg event if he actually were to run for prime minister or something like that?
Damn right. I would. This Week in Stupid, I absolutely endorsed him. He's, as far as I'm concerned, the only person in the country who even is aware of why these things are bad. Most of the Conservative Party has bought into the left.
You cut out there for a second.
In principle. But yeah, seriously, like not alt-right people, obviously, but like anyone from like mainstream conservatives, like Paul Joseph Watson, like Computing Forever. If anyone ran for any of these local offices, I would support these people. Anyone who would describe themselves as a classical liberal, if they wanted to run for anything, dude, I'm behind you. Seriously, at this point, we just need people who are guaranteed not socialists in places of power.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their thing is in the United States right now, there are like legitimately self-described socialists winning elections, and I'm not joking about that.
And in this country, it's the entire left wing is socialist.
I could cite that the one Oasis brother, fuck Jeremy Corbyn, he's a communist.
Yeah, dude.
And that appears to be something that is demonstrably true.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can hardly get him pictured at a fucking event without hammer and sickles waving.
Yes.
It's like, how has that ever happened?
Could you imagine going to a Trump rally where there's like fucking a Nazi flag waving? Yeah, could you imagine that? Yes, they would. They would be fucking beaten up. I definitely agree. Because the thing is, most of the people there would think that they're that person's like a fucking lunatic leftist trying to do like an op. Well, yeah, and they would beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, they'd either see them as a racist, which is something they don't agree with. They'd either see them as a socialist, which is something they don't agree with.
Yeah, they don't like either.
Or they see them as an infiltrator who they want to get rid of. So
that's hilarious. They hate them because they're a socialist too. That's so funny.
Yeah, it is though.
It's true though, because I talked to a lot of conservatives, and most conservatives are. If you ask them, "Are you a capitalist?" they'll go on like a 10-minute lecture about how much of in favor they are of capitalism.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see. Then Richard Spencer's like universal healthcare. It's like, well, I mean, I'm actually in favor of that, but different situation. If I was in America, it wouldn't be a core pillar of what I was trying to say. I'd be at best, I'd be advocating for state healthcare, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. But, I'll call you out right now because I haven't seen anyone say it in the chat. I don't know if you guys had the debate. I don't think you have, but at some point we need to have a great big bake the cake debate.
Well, I don't think that compelling people into contracts is a good thing, but I don't think arbitrary discrimination of your customers by someone at a till is a good thing either. So I don't think you can force them to bake the cake, but if there's a cake on the shelf, you can't just not sell it to black people.
Well, that's the thing is, I still think there's a debate to that, and
well, there is, and I'm following Mill's argument here, which I think is I think it produces a society with less bigotry, and that is a good thing. I don't want society to become hugely racist or anything.
Yeah. Well, the question is whether it would or wouldn't. I would say that ultimately, like if you were to have like let's say a scenario where a law was passed in the United States where it would effectively be you have to bake, or no, you don't have to bake the cake, and you can basically you don't have compulsion to service a customer. I think that immediately there would be a little bit of a social row about that, like people arguing about it. But I would say that ultimately, based on the United States as it is now, not a lot would really change. The worst case scenario to me is there's a really bad instance of a bigoted owner, and it could be anybody. I won't even say it's some right-wing hick. It could be anybody who basically turns down a customer and is incredibly belligerent about it, and it goes viral. I think that's the worst case scenario.
One of the things you've got to remember is we're also arguing against SJWs saying, right, you're a white man, we're going to charge you more. Yeah,
well, that's the thing is that
the thing is, okay, yeah, it sounds like it's not going to be a problem if you live in Texas or something, but if you lived in Portland, you might find yourself in every fucking shop. Remember how these people
Well, yeah,
enforce their morality on other
true.
people?
True.
You know,
I
it's
would
not
say
like they're
that
going to spread this.
under an ideal scenario, that it would be preferable that a business owner has the right to do whatever the fuck they want with their own business, even turn away customers and ultimately undermine their own business. But under the conditions currently, with social justice activists being out of fucking control and bigoted, that right now may not be the right time for,
Yeah, absolutely. If I thought that people were going to be like more individualistic, then yeah, sure. You know, I could agree to that in principle, and I do agree in principle. But my God, man, you know, the effect is just going to be bad. I mean, we see it already. Already, they do it and get away with it.
Well, the thing would be with conservatives, especially, is that they're so seemingly so decided on the issue, is that they would open up the window for their own discrimination, and ultimately, that is going to be one of my criticisms of conservatism, is their adherence, their dogmatic adherence to the notion that capitalism is a worldview. Therefore, even if it leads to their own oppression, that is, it from their perspective, ethical.
Yeah, that's an important point, because I'm in favor of capitalism from a utilitarian perspective as well as a moral perspective. If capitalism stops being a moral good, then I'm only making a utilitarian analysis. As in, I would be like Destiny, saying that it's good to oppress the third world. It's profitable for us. It's like, no, I still think that's bad too.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're getting the raw end of the deal as well. So
I think that at some point I should probably debate a conservative on this, honestly, just to sort of flesh out my views a little bit more. But it's like, you know, the thing is like I said, it's I'm being offered the idea that, from my perspective, what I see is that capitalism is to them a worldview that answers every question, when in fact there are in many ways, capitalism can ultimately undermine the country that otherwise they are concerned about. You know, if capitalism ultimately,
libertarian open border types,
right? Well,
literally are fine to open the borders as long as someone profits. It's like, okay, that's too far.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that what like here's the thing. Okay, the theoretical question would be: do you consider yourself to be somebody who's a patriot, a nationalist, somebody who cares about your country, you know, whatever? And the immediate answer that you're going to get from most conservatives is a resounding yes, I am. But then well, if capitalism goes as far as it did under the Trans-Pacific Partnership and starts to completely try to undermine even national sovereignty of a nation, is capitalism good? Do we just allow capitalism to do what it wants?
And if it's a highest ideal, which it does seem to be in these people, then they're okay with it undermining the nation state.
Well, that's the question that I have for them.
That is the problem is civic nationalism there, right? And that it's good that most people are civic nationalists, because it's like that's like the Anglo ideology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most English-speaking people are civic nationalists, as in they consider themselves to be a political entity that deserves a portion of power over the government, which is exercised at the ballot box, right? That's important, because that makes you a political actor, and that power that you wield as a political actor is you directly controlling your government, even if it's in a very small way with one vote. You know, or with activism. You know, it's not the only way of controlling the government.
I don't really see the argument in favor of, especially with corporations. It's that, you know, the idea that corporations are always going to come to the right conclusion or make the best decision, or somehow their decision is more moral. It's like, well, ultimately, the only people that a board of directors who makes the top-down decisions of a corporation, the only people they're responsible to are their shareholders. And if you're not a shareholder of that particular publicly traded corporation, why should they give a shit about what you think or about who you are or anything else?
Specifically, though, I would ask them, like, don't you consider yourselves to be citizens? Because being for open borders means creating new citizens who are not only not indigenous, so they can have different perspective on the world than you, but they're also going to be reducing the amount of influence you have over your government. You don't want to erode that, really. You know, you want to, you know, if anything, it'd be more beneficial if that was increased. Which is why you should run for office if you want to see changes happen, Louis.
We had a funny argument about this a long time ago, where it was like, if we ever were in a state of anarchy where it's like, let's say we're on an island and there's 20 people, and it's like we're in a state of anarchy, and one guy says, well, we're going to just be in a state of anarchy. That's going to be the guy that I shoot right before I declare myself the leader.
Exactly. No, we're going to have a hierarchy, and I'm the one with the gun. So,
yeah, exactly.
That's anarchy never lasts. It can't last.
No.
This is the thing, and it's like, but civic nationalism really does, and this is Gary Edwards pointed this out a while ago, and I think it was in a video he did, that liberalism and through the method of civic nationalism is a powerful check on tyranny. In fact, it's the best one we have.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying earlier. We should do it in decades since Last Tyrant, because then liberalism looks fucking amazing.
Yeah. In my opinion, one of the major problems in the West currently is the internationalists, which is basically what you could loosely say is what Alex Jones says is globalists, although his opinion of it is like way out there and way too conspiratorial. With internationalists, I don't think of these people as they're fucking conspiratorial, they're evil, whatever. It's they hold this belief that the nation state is redundant. That is what they believe. Yeah, and it's because they are all, almost to a T, all middle to upper class bourgeois fucking college educated assholes, white collar assholes.
This is literally what David Rockefeller wrote in his book, in his memoirs. He just wrote, I'm an internationalist. I believe in all of this, and it's like, okay, well, there we go. And so naturally you operate against the idea of the nation state because you want to see your idea advanced. I mean, I don't blame you for it, but it puts us at odds.
Yeah. The difference I would make too is that I would say that the internationalists see themselves as forward thinking and moral, and that they aren't outwardly, maybe not all, but many, I would argue, are not like immoral people. They're not criminal in their behavior or what have you.
No. They're just activists for something that directly
is utopian, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's utopian.
The people that I do think are evil or immoral are the corporatists, because I think that they are ultimately.
Well, this is about the definition of evil and immoral. If I don't like the terms evil and immoral because they're basically quasi-religious.
Right, I totally understand.
But the thing is, what they're doing is appealing only to their own self-interest.
Exactly. I'll say malicious. Malicious is the word that I can use.
Yeah, and often they do act maliciously because if you're, they basically, Coach Red Pill is the ultimate corporatist, right? He's just acting in his own self-interest. I mean, when he was like, honesty is a tactic, it's like, whoa, if you can't see that there's any sort of conceptual good to honesty, like just a moral metaphysical good to honesty, and you think you're going to use it exclusively as a tactic, that is the essence of the corporate mindset.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll be honest, if it benefits me, it's like, okay, well, there we go.
Exactly. I would say that corporatism is the philosophy of Ayn Rand meets Machiavelli. Like it is.
No, it absolutely is, right? This. I'm going to be doing a debate with Yaron Brooks soon, and I don't really want to debate him because he's much smarter than I am. But I really just want to ask him about how you can make a moral good out of necessity, as in like an essential thing you have no control over. How can you? Because this is what Haidt has basically proven in The Righteous Mind, and it's all instinctual. People act in their own self-interest and then essentially rationalize it afterwards. The majority of people, it doesn't have to be this way, but that's just the path of least resistance, effectively.
Right.
And the objectivism is kind of it's obviously a post hoc rationalization, as far as I can see. Like, how can you make something you do unconsciously and inevitably be a moral good? Is a moral good to be asleep?
Right.
It's just something you do.
Yeah.
A moral good is when you make a conscious choice to be a certain kind of thing and do a certain kind of thing that is beneficial to someone else at a detriment or an apparent detriment to yourself. This is why I can't really get past their undermining of the ethics of altruism. It's a bit. I just can't agree that that's good.
I like, especially when it comes to objectivism. I think it's important to not necessarily read Ayn Rand's books because they're just propaganda, but like the actual like the philosophy that she would espouse, especially if she was being interviewed.
There's nothing wrong with reading someone's propaganda. In fact, it's really useful.
Well, I'm just saying
worldview.
It's important in understanding the worldview of the writer, but I just mean like a basic summary of like what the actual the actual philosophy is. Like, I think that is more important than just reading some propagandistic fiction, but it's important to understand objectivism just overall, because it's basically what happens when you read Nietzsche and then read Machiavelli and go, hey, I think I can combine these things. It's like, no, you're going too far. You're going too far now.
Well, the thing is, like, the method of analysis is sound, right? Because they analyze via principles, which is sound, right? It's just, it's a method. It's like saying that Marxism is a good economic system. It's like, I think a Marxist analysis can be useful, but I don't agree that.
But it's about you putting it in action.
Yeah, it's just to give yourself more information about a situation.
Definitely, yeah.
You know,
and I've said that myself plenty of times, is that I think there's plenty of things that go analyzed incorrectly, or just not analyzed altogether, simply because there aren't any Marxists left that are actually concerned about class and use that lens.
Actually,
that is a dead
viewpoint. They live in Britain, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, well, the thing is that I never hear anyone talk about something from a class dynamic that isn't just progressive bullshit.
This is something, I mean, this is kind of, it's taking over the Labour Party at the moment. The Labour Party in this country is so traditionally, because we're such a class-focused society, it's so traditionally been
right. But the thing is it's a difference between
they're making it bourgeois at the moment, and they're making it social justice.
But the thing is that it, like, the whole issue of like understanding class is like in the more like philosophical Zizek sense. You know what I mean? Like, you just you lecture in front of a group of people about this and reflect on it. You don't go, okay, there's a problem with class, therefore we should start seizing people's private property.
Which is what Jeremy Corbyn has.
That's what I mean. Like, I mean the analysis. I don't mean, hey, let's become communists. That isn't what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah,
hey, there's some class problems in our society. Hey, let's start taking people's shit.
Oh, it's fucking insufferable.
Oh my god! I just would like to see somebody, like, have an American go on television with Jeremy Corbyn and just be like, when he goes, "Yeah, we need to seize these people's property." See the reaction to the American, like, what? What are you talking about?
No, it's just, I get. Oh yeah, but whenever I talk about it, I always make sure to emphasize that. And the Americans, and rightfully so, to their eternal moral credit, recoil. It's amazing. It's like I love how it offends the American mind.
Well, this is somebody else's property. I'm just gonna take it. It's like, listen, people in this country are bitching about taxes. You're talking about literally taking someone else's property. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
oh man. So it's amazing to me that the head of a party believes that. That's so nuts.
Dude, that's how far down the rabbit hole our country is. It's so illiberal. It's got to this. The only thing we've got left now is social liberalism, and sort of like the British politeness and individualistic nature of the British people. That's what we're reduced to. Our institutions are fucking infested. It's awful. You know that 2/3 of our teachers vote for Labour. What kind of classroom atmosphere do you think that fosters? Well, it's a two-party system. We're not a two-party system, mate. The Liberal Democrats get about 13% of the vote, something like that. Or, yeah, at some point they did. The UKIP used to get quite a large percentage of the vote before the fucking
that's done.
Yeah, I know they're done. But what I mean is, we're not just a two-party system. We're not like America. You know, people will vote for separate parties. People are pissed off on an issue. You know,
you seem to be heading in that direction, though, brother.
Well, yeah,
brother.
And yet 2/3 of our teachers vote Labour. So it's just like, that's an incredible percentage.
Yeah, I'm not. The more I've seen, like, I've talked to some people, because people really give me a hard time about being in favor of unions. And one of the things that people endlessly complain about are the teachers' unions, because they're very far left. And it's like, well, this is, I mean, like, it's not an issue of unions. It's an issue of, you have a room full of fucking entitled bourgeois white women. What do you think they're going to be fucking talking about?
That is another good point, right? I found data that showed that the unions in this country are mostly middle class women and only 10% working class men.
Yeah, and those are all the labor. Those are all the labor unions. Trust me, the actual like laborers.
Yeah, exactly. They call themselves labor unions. It's like this is office worker unions. This is middle class air conditioned office workers, 40 grand a year union. Fuck you. You know?
Yeah, I can really say that there's some real issues, and I think that it ultimately benefits the capitalist mindset, the capitalists of our society, that they can just point to the teachers unions and that, and basically use that as the example of the laborers. Because one of the things is that I can tell you that I know enough laborers themselves, like electricians, plumbers, the rest, or pipe fitters, whatever you want to say for the actual unions themselves, and they lean like center right most of the time. And it's one of the things I don't like about conservatives just shitting on unions, is that it's just like, do you realize that a lot of working class men, are mainly conservative?
Yeah. Who could be a strong vote. I'll tell you what, I hate to cite Hitler, but I've been reading Mein Kampf recently, and this is just something he complains about. That the bourgeois society, basically the conservatives, leave the playing field open for the Marxists by saying we don't care about you. It's suicidal. You really should be.
The only reason why Trump won was that he was able to win the right parts of the United States, and many of them were working class white parts of the country. It's not universally why he won, but he won the Rust Belt, and it was important for him to win that part, and he did. So I think that the conservatives, for whatever reason, seem to have this endless source of arrogance where they think that in the end they're somehow going to win, even though they're being oppressed by corporations that control information to such an extent that the government buys information from them. And
the thing is, at the moment, they are going to, but only because the left is so awful.
That's what I mean.
Because the left is actively trying to deconstruct the civilization in which they live, and it's like,
yes,
we could do better. Just saying.
It's one of the things that I say is that, like, I mean, I don't really know how far I want to get into it now, but like I said, it's just this. My basic summary is that I think that they're, for all the ideological lunacy that there is on the left, that is undeniable, there is an incredible amount of arrogance that is in the right. An incredible amount of arrogance. They just think that things are ultimately going to fall in their lap and see everyone else around them as insignificant and unworth their time. But it's like you can't govern that way. You can't win elections that way. You think of yourselves as ultimately the people that are going to triumph for the working class while you sneer at them. You're just not as insane as the other side. I guess we can just leave that alone for now.
And that's literally what it is. That's their only fucking advantage at the moment.
Yeah, I just think that conservatives, I think conservatism in the modern era needs significant reform. And the big thing that I can offer to conservatives is the first thing you need to do is excommunicate or expel the internationalists from your movement. You need to get rid of them.
Yeah. Taking your movement, so just accept the fact that you're nationalists now.
The United States, the conservative movement has been on a severe decline for decades, up until Donald Trump, who despite his idiocy, has breathed
the disadvantage of being Donald Trump.
Yeah, has breathed a breath of fresh air in the conservative movement. And if you have any sense at all, you would start expelling the corporatists and especially the internationalists from your group. You would start to do that, because if you don't do it, eventually Donald Trump is going to go away and you're going to be exactly where you were, and you are on a clear decline. It's the socialists that are getting elected. It's not the fucking far right. So please humble yourselves.
Be against immigration. That's just...
there you go.
The working class need it. They need you to be against immigration.
They don't give a shit about what shareholders need. They like the Dow Jones going up or down isn't really reflected ultimately in the basic economy of people's lives. It isn't. No. It's just this assumption that's made every single goddamn day of the week. The Dow's up, the Dow's down. The Nasdaq's up, the Nasdaq's down. And somehow that's somehow reflective of people's immediate lives. It's not. The only people that care are shareholders. Please go in. Donald Trump does that too. Donald Trump does it too. And it's stupid.
And the thing is, I'm not against shareholders or something like that. I'm just saying it's a like political tactic. It's to vote, you know, like it's getting them on your side. You've got to speak to them in their language.
It's just a matter of like I don't really know how I feel about shareholders, just because like my viewpoint of shareholders is that they are completely detached people who whatever they believe is basically an amalgamation of I know what's best, my money is what counts, and if they're basically what would be like technocrats, like they believe that they should be the aristocracy in society and that they have the governing intellect that would basically result in utopia, and everyone else can get fucked.
I would like to get rid of corporate personhood. I'm not going to lie. I really despise corporate personhood.
Well, it depends on ultimately who's there. Because if you have somebody who's a fucking Mitt Romney, then that ideology rules.
Well, yeah, but I don't like it being a legal thing, a legal precedent.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not aware enough of the actual law itself and how to correct that. But the idea of a what is it, a fictional person or a fictional personhood, whatever.
Yeah. So it's personhood to a collective. I don't like it on that ground for a start, but I think it's a bad.
Well, what it does is it ultimately gives, especially in the LLC form, is that it gives the ability for people operating the corporation to do fraud and malfeasance and whatever, and ultimately the corporation should just be fined. You know, nobody goes to jail. It's just the cost of doing business. Corporation launders money for and this happened, launders money for Al Qaeda, launders money for some cartels, launders money for whoever. It's like, or I think it was in this case was Iran too. It was HSBC Bank. It's like, yeah, we'll pay some fines, and that's it. That's it. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
It really isn't, because one of the things is that the larger corporations get, the more out of control they get, and the fact is that in our society,
just to back that up with some science. Again, I was listening to The Righteous Mind. I've got the audiobooks. I'm lazy. I was listening to that just before we did the stream, actually, and Haidt was talking about how he had found through various studies that if people think there is a punishment, then they will act like more virtuous people, and that sounds like it's not some sort of amazing revelation, but apparently in the world of moral psychology, it wasn't thought that that was necessarily the case. I'd have to revisit it to remember exactly how he phrased it, because I just heard it. But basically, the takeaway was, if people think they can get away with stuff, they'll act like arseholes. Which, again, anyone who knows a person should be able to tell you that. But at least he can now back it up with some science. And so you've got to be able to hold these people to account. And while we can't, because our politicians are bought off, it means they will do things they will think they can get away with, and because they can. It
doesn't say much about the future of a country when you ultimately have two tiers of justice, and where if you're somebody that gets caught with, some coke and you're a nobody, you're going to get fucked. But if you are, the head of a multinational bank and you're basically defrauding people, laundering money for fucking Al Qaeda or whatever, and you just get off and you pay, and your company pays some fines, then people are, it doesn't bode well for the justice system of that society. Because if people ultimately think that they live in an completely unjust nation and that there is no legitimacy in the state, then they are going to see no legitimacy in the state and act out. And if you want to see how that's going to turn out, just look at any nation where there's been a police protest, or a strike rather. Go see how that works out.
Yeah, and it's not just that; it increases, just the level of corruption in your country. It's like, do you really just want an increased level of corruption in your country? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm all in favor of somebody who's a lunatic basically getting in charge of the Department of Justice and being really harsh on just about anything, just fairly so, because I think that's one of the things in the United States that needs to be ultimately reined in is criminal behavior and the amount of deviant behavior that's just accepted in our society. Like if you see a case where a politician gets sentenced for like he laundered money or did fucking whatever, goes to jail for 80 years and he's crying in court, I'm going to die in prison. Then it's like, okay, there you go. There you go. Now it's like, oh, he's a powerful politician. He's going to die in jail. It's like, okay, there you go. And then you gotta set the bar high for punishment. That way, severity actually it's like trickle down economics except with punishment. It trickles down in society.
This is why Louis should go into politics, and that should be the first thing he does, is get political and corporate malfeasance to be like high crimes.
Oh, you better believe it. In fucking New York State, bro, you'd be convicting every goddamn politician and they'd be all dying in jail. It's out of control in this state.
This is how Louis takes over and forms the liberalist dictatorship of New York.
Yeah,
he takes over.
If you're convicted of a crime of laundering money or using your political power or using your power of office to enrich yourself, that carries an immediate 80-year sentence. Like that would be the law I'd introduce. Let's see how many signatures that shit gets.
Yeah, but mate, it'd get fucking loads.
I mean in terms of the actual like the politicians, like the people holding office. I don't know if they'd be signing on it.
People would fucking. I bet people would go.
Oh, dude, the great thing would be to put pressure on the governor of New York State to put that as a proposition during an election.
Well, this is why you should become the governor, which is why you should start now.
Oh my God!
Your local mayor. So 4 years as your local mayor. Fucking then run for the governorship of the state, man. We'll fucking, if you've been keeping your nose clean and whatnot and doing the right thing, dude, I'll fucking support that. Get out there, man.
All right,
get an endorsement
we'll put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in that for now.
Just fucking but if you don't actually do something, nothing will change.
I realize that. I'm not saying that I'll never do anything. I'm just saying that for right now, I'm just not in that position. Like, give me some time. Like, if I start talking to you.
Well, so
if I start talking to you about how I just bought a new house, then maybe we can start talking about this.
Yeah, or if I'm saying is just set a level on your Patreon that is at whatever level you'll run for the mayorship of your town. I would love to see people put those on their Patreons. Let's see people fucking see how people pay up. Because Jordan Peterson is making a fucking huge amount. He's actually making a difference.
He's like making like $1 million a year.
Yeah, but he's actually making a difference, and the market's rewarding him.
Yeah.
If you were to just say, look, if I reach this, I will fucking you fucking listen to this live stream. You've heard me saying, look, I'm going to go out there on this fucking working class agenda. I'm going to go out there and smash it for us. And people are like, well, okay, if you have to reach fucking like $6,000 or something, whatever it is, maybe you can do it.
Yeah. I didn't realize
I would promote it. I would almost maliciously promote the shit out of that, and I would contribute to it myself.
I'm happy to hear that from you, but like I said, let's move on from that. Maybe another time.
Actually, to be honest, mate, I'm gonna have to get it back. So it's getting a bit late.
Okay. Do you want to wrap it up here then?
Be serious about that. But and everyone should shame Louis into doing this.
Oh God.
Shame Louis. #shame Louis into doing this. And just get him to just write the number on his Patreon. Just tell us what the number is, Louis, and we'll fucking do it.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, man. Really
all right, no problem. Okay, so Sargon dropped out. So we got through, I think, one and a half articles in a few hours time. So we had a good hit rate on this stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch up with all the super chats. I apologize for those of you that have been putting things in the super chat that I have not been reading them, but it's because I've been focusing on the conversation, and I will read them now and carry on with the stream. Let's see here. What happened to ignoring the chat, Lewis? You whore. Well, I just did for like the last hour. Patrick Meredith says the alt-right aren't right-wing. Spencer's a socialist. You know, that's up for you to argue. I better not see you guys stand for the lowest unemployment rate in blacks for America. I know you are traitors to the white race. Are you guys going to talk about the State of the Union? No. Flippant Solutions says, I've seen agnosticism on the rise. That's correct. Taboo says, deport and outlaw all Muslims like when Islamic countries outlaw other religions. I don't know if we should actually reflect their beliefs in that sense, but like I said, I'm more than willing to discuss with people the issue of Muslims in the West. It's obviously an issue. I'm sure that we've all met at least one Muslim person that was perfectly innocuous. I have met a few, and they're all female. But, you know, there are people in this country that are Muslim that are not a problem. They're usually old or female. It's the young men that are really the problem. Graham says, see Jack Smith the Fourth's video on Jordan Peterson. I'd appreciate it. Link that to me, Graham. I think you're on Gab or Twitter. Link that to me if you would, because I'm not aware of that. Mitch says, clean your gulags, boys. The bodies stink. Maybe tomorrow we'll get somebody else to do it. Ultra Great says, Sargon, while I stand by some of my criticism, I hope you understand that I can only super chat so much. They come off very poorly. P.S. Have you guys thought of using Dr. Pinkerton like Peterson? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but appreciate the super chat there, Ultra. TK Mao says, Rule 12 is best. Pet the fucking cat. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If it's a reference to the... I got the book behind me, but it's Jordan Peterson's new book. I don't know if that's number 12. Osir says, love both your work, gentlemen. Thank you, Osir. Mitch says again, I can see it now. Lewis starting every speech with, hey, everybody, this is Lewis. This speech is brought to you by J-List and Play Asia. That's correct. I would not drop, that's my corruption, is I wouldn't drop my affiliation with J-List or Play Asia if I took office. Samuel says, can you guys help me tell my friend Carlos to stop sending me scat porn? That's on you, bro. He's your friend. I don't really give a shit what he sends you. So we just pounded through those super chats mighty quick. And I'm going to take a minute to check on social media. I had a few people send me some articles to cover. Unfortunately for today, we're out of time for that. I appreciate you guys sending in. I actually had a few that I had saved that I was going to talk to Sargon about. Maybe next time. I'll keep them handy. I still have like an article that's months old about China complaining, like Western journalists complaining that China, their Communist Party, doesn't have enough women in it. I still have that saved that I want to talk with Sargon about, so I still have that ready. Somebody sent me some crazy video on Gab. I don't know what this is, man. I'll have to watch it later. Let's see here. So people basically agreeing with Kick V, which I still don't know what that's about, but I appreciate the meme. Samuel says in Super Chat, fuck you, Lewis. This is a real problem about your friend. Bro, it's your friend. Your friend is your friend. I don't know who fucking Carlos is. If he's sending you scat porn, that's up to him. Block him. Block your friend, man. That's how you solve this problem. All right, so what we'll do is that's it for the super chats for right now. I'll turn this over to the chat. I'll answer some questions in the chat, and then we'll wrap this up. Actually, let me check Skype really quick. Somebody sent me a message. Okay, it's whatever. Previous something says that V's arse has become too loose for Sargon. Louis got that sweet, tight virginal poop hole. Coruscant Rose says, "What can I do to be a mod in your chat?" It's if I notice you and if you're like a regular user of my channel. There's very, very few mods in my chat because ultimately it's not really that big of a deal what people are posting in chat. I mean, if they're like, "Oh man, hashtag fuck niggers," it's like, okay, well, what does that matter? I like chat is kind of whatever to me. I don't understand why people take chat so seriously. It's kind of just a function to see what people are saying. Will you run the V party or the Weeb party? No, I won't run the Weeb party. I'll just be less than ironically in favor of East Asian immigration, simply because there's too much self-interest, and also if you're looking for productive people on any level, like working class productive people, middle class productive people, rich productive people, if you go to East Asia, you're gonna find some fucking productive people. Let's see here. I understand, this is by Chris, who says, "I understand your feelings on games in the Western industry, so I have been very careful what I buy. Kingdom Come Deliverance looks..." Oh, see, dude, that was... I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually was going to talk about that game with Sargon. We didn't get to it, unfortunately, but it's a Kingdom Come Deliverance. Looks really good. I'm wondering what you think of it. I'm probably not going to pre-order it. I just want to see how it looks. Like, I'm aware of the guy that runs it and whose side he's on, basically. And the fact that the game, I've seen previews of it, and it looks pretty crazy. You know, it looks like a lot like Witcher-worthy content. And if any of you know CD Projekt Red, that's a good game to be compared to. So it definitely looks interesting, and it's on my Steam list, my wish list. But I'm not going to promise to buy it just yet because I don't want to say that anymore. I really am done with gaming in large part. Like, I am actively not spending any more money. Lawrence Fishburne is primarily South African heritage. Is that controversial? I don't know. Who cares about Lauren Fishburne? I don't understand what you're saying. Hey, Lewis, what's your go-to alcoholic drink of choice? Pretty much what I drink right now is Labatt Blue for beer. And while I was talking with Sargon, I drank a very large mug. And maybe you guys heard me do one refill. I did a partial refill of A&W root beer and Jim Beam. And also... Stoli Chitnaya, or however you say it, Stoli vodka. That's another one that I like. I'm not super particular to vodka, though. Jim Beam I actually like as a whiskey bourbon. I don't smoke pot. How big is your Steam wish list? It's pretty fucking limited. Not much. It's like, I think, a couple Weeb games and a couple others that aren't. That's about it. I was going to say this during the stream with Sargon, but I forgot, is that I believe the Super Bowl is currently going on. Because I was actually surprised by I expected a lot more viewers. We topped out at like 590, I think, 590 viewers. I was actually surprised it was so few. But then I realized, like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why is there so few? And I'm like, oh my God, the fucking Super Bowl's going on. I'm pretty sure. So no wonder. Somebody said that at the beginning as well, which it's a little bit pathetic. So the oddest whisperer says, "Is there a horseshoe theory within politics, or is it more of a spectrum?" I would say that there's definitely like the common definition of horseshoe theory, I would say, is more accurate than not, in that the far right and the far left have a lot in common based on what I've seen, and that appears to be true whether we're talking about authoritarians or anarchists. They have a lot in common. So horseshoe theory is generally correct. But spectrum is also correct too, because people are on a spectrum ultimately where they do lean, you know, far left to left, centrist, center right, etc. I would say that most people adequately fall within that spectrum. But it's really right now in the West that we see a real issue with the outliers, where it's on the far right and the far left. So spectrum would normally be something I would say be more accurate, but currently, because of the current political climate, horseshoe theory applies more often than otherwise. The Audis Whisperer, thoughts on why there is a backlash towards the liberalist movement? It's for a variety of reasons. One, they like Sargon's content, or they like other people's content, and they don't want to see it change. They want it to stay consistent, and they're afraid of it becoming too serious. They're afraid of people selling out. I would say that's another aspect of it, getting involved in politics, because when it comes to politics, selling out is the easiest fucking thing in the world to do. It is the path of least resistance, and you will have everyone in the world putting pressure on you to just become a sellout and represent the established view. It takes a lot to be a reformer. It takes, if you are a person without a very deep set of personal ethics, morals, and character, generally integrity, if you lack those things, then you will be corrupted. It is a guarantee you will be corrupted. If you have nothing at your core, then there's nothing. Keep starving off the people that are going to corrupt you, and that's what's required for any kind of reform. Will I ever dox myself? I don't think I will intentionally. I will likely, if things get big enough, I will eventually put my face on the screen, because that is ultimately more of a benefit than it is a negative. People are far more responsive to you putting your face on the screen. I would imagine if I started doing that, I would see a big jump in my subscriber count, I would think, and engagement. I would argue that that would happen. But I'm in no position to do that currently, because there's too much at risk should I do that. So I would never personally just hand out my name. If you look hard enough online, you will be able to find it, especially once you see my face. You'll be able to eventually track it down. But the thing is that I'm not going to give people the weapon to use against me, because knowing my name for me personally is not anything. It doesn't really matter to me. But people can use that to, call your company, contact your parents, do whatever to fuck with you. And I'm not going to hand somebody a weapon that I know can and will be used against me. Gavin says in Super Chat, I may move to Buffalo for college, so run for mayor, faggot. Also, what are the laws for carrying weapons there? I heard it's rough. It's not that big of a deal. People always over-exaggerate New York. New York's big thing is a big hard-on for assault rifles. So if you own a rifle, the SAFE Act is really stupid about that. The only hang-up is basically you go to a gun store, first you have to get a permit. The permit process is basically just long. It takes like a year to get a permit, but it's like a cop shows up at your house, usually a sheriff, walks in, looks around, asks you like 2 questions, walks out, and that's it. Then a year later, or usually that's after the year goes along, you get the permit, you go to a gun store, you pick out a gun, they give you like the serial number and the information on the gun. You go to a clerk's office at like a courthouse. It's like a specialized office for that. They basically enter that information and into some database, I would imagine, and they put your the pistol and the serial number on the permit itself. They print it on your permit, and then you go back to the gun store and pick it up, and that's pretty much it. we've created some new laws, or I should say the state has created some new laws where you have to re-up your license every couple of years, I think. I'm not sure of exactly what it is. I know that I did it not that long ago. I know my father was bitching about it. But you basically have to re-up your license now. I'm not. The thing with New York is that it's almost always a politician utilizing something they know is a wedge issue that is an issue in search of a problem. In New York State, we don't have a lot of problems with, domestics or, outside the norm. I mean, to warrant this kind of legislation. Like if there was an issue of legal gun owners doing crazy shit, and then somebody said, well, let's put whatever in legislation, maybe it makes sense. Okay. But in New York State, it's not exceptional that we have registered legal gun owners doing crazy shit that is abnormal of other states. It's not happening. So to say that the legislation is warranted, in my opinion, is something that is unjustifiable. You can't actually explain why it is. You're predicting that it will be a problem, or you are stupid and you think that by making it harder to get legal firearms, that somehow that's going to cut down on the shootings that happen in Rochester or fucking Buffalo. It's not. It makes no difference. They passed the SAFE Act. They passed that license renew act. And guess what? The shootings got worse in Buffalo and in Rochester. So what the fuck? Reality disproves that kind of stupid legislation. That doesn't mean gun legislation is always something that, is illegitimate, in my opinion. But what it does mean is that if there's a problem, then you legislate. Legislate in the presumption that somehow, some way, it's going to affect something somewhere at any point. Like there's no explanation of what these things are going to achieve. And unfortunately, in New York State, there's just not enough resistance to it. Outside of, downstate, it's still popular, but upstate, dude, if you go anywhere in upstate New York, you will see, repeal the SAFE Act, fuck the SAFE Act, fuck Andrew Cuomo, the SAFE Act is fascism, the SAFE Act, the SAFE Act, the SAFE Act, the SAFE Act, must Second Amendment, not unjustifiably, everywhere in upstate New York. It is everywhere in upstate New York. And I sympathize, I'm not going to sit here saying must Second Amendment, but I sympathize because it's bullshit legislation. It's not. So again, you can carry firearm. You just got to be mindful of what you're doing with it. I live in New York. So Gavin says, I live in New York, just wondering about Buffalo itself. Dude, I carry in Buffalo all the fucking time. If you're going to move to Buffalo, try to move to Amherst, which is on the outskirts of Buffalo. Be very mindful where you fucking move into Buffalo, because you could go a block and be in the ghetto and you won't realize it right away. But you'll realize it when people are driving down the street shooting at each other and you're ducking under your fucking seat trying not to get shot. So yeah, Buffalo, but it's not been a good year for Buffalo. It really hasn't. I feel bad for Byron Brown because if you're a Republican, this would be the easiest thing to hang around his neck. It's like, oh man, look at the soft on crime Democrat. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I like there's a cop in every fucking block and yet there's still insane crime going on. So yeah. I feel, like I said, Byron Brown's one of the rare decent politicians in my area, but this year in Buffalo has been fucking bad. But I appreciate the question there, Gavin. When was the last time Buffalo had a good year? Well, Buffalo itself, economically wise, is on an upswing. There's several parts of Buffalo that have been almost completely gentrified. So Buffalo isn't Detroit. If you come to Buffalo, drive around, because you'll drive through some districts where you're like, holy shit, there's like mansions. What the fuck? There's parts even within the city itself that's in the city. There are some very nice parts of Buffalo, but the problem is that the ghetto is still there and it's still really bad. And it doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon. So Buffalo economically wise is on an upswing. It's just not like fucking some boom town economy. It's just on an upswing. It's the crime that is still a fucking problem. Cyril Figgis says that you're from Albany. I feel bad for you, bro. I've been to Albany. It's not very nice. No offense. But better Albany than fucking New York City, man. I hate downstate. Downstate's a fucking shithole. Albany's Albany's like a fucking a Jamestown. Like it's very old looking and it economically it looks pretty fucking desperate. It's not that bad though. It's just kind of really sketchy. People telling me to run for office. Would I date that guy T? Oh, I'm not gay and neither is he, so I don't think I would. I heard gentrification was super racist. It depends on what perspective you're coming at. Because gentrification can be a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously there's good effects to it, obviously. But the bad effect is that you price people out of an area, and that's kind of malicious and bad. Because you could be really affecting some decent families and that are really poor, and not because they're fucking lazy or on welfare or they're all criminals or whatever. It's just that they're poor. So gentrification has some negative consequences to it. But the problem is that in areas like in Buffalo, it desperately needs it. And the upswing of it is that you have a lot of white-collar white people that move in. And they are very irritating. I'll say that. I've had plenty of interactions with black people that are poor that were good compared to that of hipsters that have moved into Buffalo. I hate them. They're fucking irritating. That's the real downside of gentrification is the fucking hipsters. They're insufferable. The most bourgeois white people you'll ever meet. I can't stand them. Lewis, get me out of California. Dude, just fucking move. You know, if you're in the position like I am where you can buy a house, just fucking move. I'm fine with where I live. I have problems with where I live, but it's mostly the most problems I have with where I live is the fucking weather. I fucking hate the weather around here. But it's like I'm not worried about the Muslims driving a truck into my house. I'm not worried about there being a shooting near my house. It's only a certain small section of Buffalo that has that fucking issue. It's just something that the police are still unable to contain. But gentrification is going to push those people out of the area. My fear is they come to Niagara Falls because technically that's going to be closer to me. I don't really want to give away my location, but if they go from Buffalo to Niagara Falls, they'll be closer to me. And that's going to be a real problem. Because Niagara Falls, if you think Buffalo's bad in terms of being poor, Niagara Falls is on a whole other fucking level. There's some very rich parts of Buffalo, or Niagara Falls. It's called, oh God, what is it? It's so fucking bourgeois and upper class. Let me look at a map. I can't believe I live here and I fucking forget the name of these places. It's the most Lewiston, New York. If you ever want to go to the most fucking bourgeois, like upper middle class, waspy, and I don't mean like hipster area necessarily, but just super fucking waspy area that is in Orchard Park. Go to Lewiston, New York. It's very small and it doesn't like fucking outsiders. They aren't the hipster. Oh, let's let in the blacks. It's like, no, we're the old school, old money fucking waspy types. They don't want the niggers in our area. Lewiston is very old school. It's a nice place. It really is. But they're very old school. A lot of Italians in Lewiston. Oh, man, it's funny. Every time I go there, I always have a laugh. Is that like it's like 98% white, and it's just like you just laugh. It's just like, man, it's not even true for where I live. Oh shit. After interacting with Mr. Medicare, has my opinion changed on him? I would say that overall, my opinion of Jim is still positive. I do like Jim. I like his content, but I do think that he is, I don't know. he's not doing himself any favors by doing what he's doing. If you haven't noticed lately, he's not being very productive. He's not uploading a lot of content. He's just going on a lot of drama streams and fucking around on Twitter. I'm not sure if he's busy or something, but uh, the point in actually giving a shit is actually trying to be more productive, or being as productive as you can be. And there's obviously plenty of shit for Jim, even if it's crazy shit that's not political. There's plenty of things for him to be covering right now, and he's not covering any of it. So I don't know. I just, it seems to be him choosing to take the path of least resistance, and that being something he thinks is defendable. So I still like him and like his content, and I do think I'd be able to get him back on his stream with me in the future to just bullshit around. Let's see here. Yeah, people are saying that he's gone off the rails. I would say so as well. He's kind of lost it a little bit. Like I said, I still like him, and I think he's incredibly talented. I really do. I think that there's plenty of people out there that I'm not going to name names and say that they're not exactly talented. You can make that criticism of me, and that'd be fine. But I think that Jim is genuinely talented as a person. And that's one of the reasons why I was so upset when we had that conversation, is that, like, you could say I look up to him. I think well of him. And so it's a bit annoying to me that he decides not to act in that way. But it's just, I can't control who he is. He can only define himself. And like I said, I don't think it's a good thing. What are your thoughts on the liberalists taking part in widespread public local polling as part of the activist platform? Well, the thing is that I have to say that it has to happen organically. That I don't think that it's up to ultimately Sargon to decide who's going to do what, but it is him basically acting as a hawk to look for people to basically think of it like, just think of it, if you would, like any other activist group. Like, you have and you see the NRA is, they look at local elections. They either are reached out to by the politicians, or they reach out to politicians and they say, okay, we want you to, in New York State, say that you're going to offer to repeal the New York Safe Act. You're going to repeal this legislation. You're in favor of the Second Amendment. Make this speech, maybe talk about your views on gun ownership. What essentially it plays into, curbing the power of government. It's all voluntary. It's not about dictating people to anything. It's just about making sure that what you believe heavily in, your beliefs as an activist group, are reflected in politics, and pursuing that. Whether people come to you or you go to them, it's basically just looking for that opportunity. It's not. It's just like that. It just, again, imagine it as that kind of group. It's not specific to Sargon. I think people make that mistake. They put him in there as, oh, he's this egomaniac, he's this character, etc., etc. It's just, no, he's trying to do what he can to form some kind of activist group. That's what he's doing. The Autistic Whisperer says, I asked this couple years ago, but I'm wondering if you added more to your list. Is there any anti-SJWs you can't stand? I remember you said you weren't a fan of Razor Fist. It's not a matter of I can't stand Razor Fist. I just don't like his style. It's the way that he does his videos. I just don't like. It's a matter of taste. It's not to say that I personally have a problem with him. I don't know if there are any anti-SJWs that I specifically don't like. Steven Crowder I don't like, but he's a conservative, like, talking head. He's like the new right, you know what I mean? He's not specifically anti-SJW. I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody that stands out that I would say that I would quote unquote can't stand. It's just people that I don't necessarily watch. I think that's the big difference. Let's see here. Would you form something like Justice Democrats? Would you partner up with people like Kyle Kulinski if you agreed on the liberalist goals and ideas? And that's by Coruscant Rose. That's ultimately on fucking Kyle. Kyle, like the thing is with the whole liberalist thing, in terms of Kyle Kulinski, it's my position is Kyle should have to come to us. We shouldn't go to him because he has done things that, in my opinion, are insincere, and he should have to defend and if he's not going to defend his actions, apologize for. He's done some stupid shit, and he believes some really ridiculous shit. So I think he needs to do some self-reflection and come to us rather than us go to him. There are people I do think we should pursue, but with him, I think he needs to come to us for him specifically. Angus says, I'd be more than willing to go house to house on the streets to take polls. I feel that a comprehensive poll would need to be formulated with help of political... Well, that's the thing, is that ultimately, when it comes to political groups, it ultimately depends on what it would evolve into. Is that if it became a political party, it would ultimately have a platform and it would do polling and that kind of thing. But with basically a political action group or an activist group, that would be specifically less to do with polling, because you don't really care what 80% of people believe or 100% of people believe. It's just about pushing that end goal. Like the NRA doesn't really care if 80% of people support something or 20% of people support something or 5% of people support something. It's about increasing those numbers. You don't care what the actual numbers are. You're just trying to see what you want achieved. That's the difference between a party and an action group, an activist, is that you want to see something achieved regardless of how popular it is, versus you're trying to appeal to popularity, which is a political group. You ultimately have principles in that you would hope to abide by, but you just want to be elected. The Honest Whisperer says, with Kraut's return, do you think he could be redeemed, or do you think that everyone was over the top with him, or was there justification? I would say it ultimately depended on who is involved. I think that the alt-right used it as a means by which to take a scalp. I think that they phoned in the idea of them being victims of something. I think it was just them trying to take a scalp. However, Kraut did do some wrong shit. He did lie to people. He misled them. He flat out, and this was caught on audio, he flagrantly lied right to Sargon's face. And that is something very wrong. That's really fucked up, because they've known each other for a very long time. So that was incredibly wrong for him to do, and I think that it's fine for him to return, but I do think he needs to definitely do a mea culpa for all the fucking people he wronged. And he needs to refocus on what he actually wants to do. Thoughts on Tim Pool? Do you like his content, or are you apathetic to it? I supported Tim Pool for quite a while until recently, just because I think he's really spinning his wheels. He's trying to be a political commentator, but he's too centrist to actually be even entertaining. Like Mundane Matt, I think, is actually pretty decent and being like a centrist and actually just presenting the news and giving his more or less sort of, I don't want to say vague opinion on it, because that kind of sounds like derogatory, but he offers an opinion that's usually centrist, and just talks about the news. I think that Mundane Matt can do it. Tim Pool can't. And just recently I've stopped supporting him on Patreon for that reason. I've unsubscribed for him. I liked him when he's out there doing ballsy shit. I don't like him just talking in front of a screen every fucking day. I think that's shit. So he needs to get out there and start doing some shit. Do you think that the brown buffalo will self-reflect and be less regressive now that he's tasted cannibalism firsthand? No, there, Chelsea. It's going to take a... Sargon has positive estimations towards Jank. I have 0. Did you give your opinion on the FISA memo? What is it? I would say take a look at Styx Hexenhammer's channel. for that. He tries to go through it, even in his, an attempt to go through it. He's done like 4 fucking videos on it, and I'm still not 100% on the FISA memo myself. So there's a lot of content there, and it depends on how you interpret it. So I can't give you a really an exact definition of what is to do with it. Maybe in the future. I've already talked about. I'm not going to talk about Hard Bastard again. I've talked about Hard Bastard 100 times. I'm not talking about him again. So Tim, Dead Agent says, so Tim needs to wake up, get up and get out there. Yeah, he needs to fucking start doing something again. He can't just sit there every goddamn day talking about the daily news from his perspective, which is almost always just ununique, unoriginal. Just there's nothing there. Let's see. Let me check super chats. Let's see. Connolly Boyle says, will you be featuring Shapiro a lot in your upcoming video on the right wing? I would love you two to do a whole video on him. You're my favorite lefty YouTuber. I appreciate that, Connolly. I don't know if I will or won't. I've scripted out part of it, but I really got to try to rework it because, like I said earlier, at some point, I tried to do it for January and it just didn't work out. I basically have to sit down, structure out exactly what I want to talk about, exactly who I'm going to cite, if anybody, about what the topic's going to be or the specific issue is going to be, and if I'm actually going to cite primary sources or just speak generally to it, because the more content that I add to it, the far less likelihood that it's even going to come out. And that's one of the things that I've learned about past Patreon videos, is that if I get too specific and I make it too lengthy, the videos never fucking happen. So it's one of the things that's been a slow learn for me. And I think with that video overall, I'm not going to ultimately shit on like, oh, Ben Shapiro did this podcast, said X did this, and then go down all that line. It's just going to be, here's a specific issue that I want to talk about in relation to conservatives. Here's what I think. Here's what is at least offered by them, and here's my answer to it and my criticism of it. And the only one that's not going to be actually included in that, in large part, is going to be immigration. That's going to be its own separate video. So I'm going to say that I'm going to give several examples of conservatives just going like, yeah, what's wrong with fucking mass immigration? Oh, yeah, by the way, it's a deep issue and it's deeply affecting this nation. And it's actually destroying our opportunity to actually even win elections in certain districts. And it's actually skewing certain parts of this country from the right to the left in a very drastic manner. But it's like, no, let's just completely forget about any of that and just focus on the cheap labor we're getting. And it's just like conservative.exe has crashed because they have literally imported their own undoing. The conservative movement in the United States is really all over the place. And it's what I love about it is like fucking leftists. By the way, we're actually under our own policies in like bringing in millions and millions and millions of people that are going to vote against this. Fucking leftists. Yeah, we need to pass a new immigration law. It's just, the right is so fucking hypocritical on immigration. It's insane. There's so many examples of it, of the right being so fucking insanely hypocritical on immigration. It's unbelievable. And that's what I mean when I said in that thing is that, like, I think that on the left, there is a problem with like pathological compassion or whatever you want to say about the left. Like there's a real problem on the left, but on the right, there is such a deep issue with arrogance. Such a deep issue of arrogance. Somebody says, I think I'd be a good interviewer on a podcast. I think it ultimately comes down to with being able to be a good interviewer or not depends ultimately once you're in that position. I can't say one way or another whether I think I'd be good or not. Somebody said, Hard Bastard fired shots at you without explaining himself. Partnering with drama channels is not good for him or his mind. Probably not. It hasn't really done much for Andy Worski in terms of his mindset. None of these people fucking know me. That's the thing. None of these people know who I am. It's usually the narrative is they know that I'm connected in some way to Sargon and they hate Sargon, or they think Sargon's basically the Sardon, and so fuck me because fuck him. That appears to be a decent portion of it. Because Andy Worski was out there spreading all sorts of ridiculous fucking rumors about me, saying like I'm taking down streams and blah, blah, like all this crazy shit. I was listening to it like, where is he fucking getting this from? But it's like, and he's like, but the thing is that he goes, I'm going to fucking debate him. I'm going to have him on here. I'm going to rip him to shreds. I'm going to get in contact with this guy. He never got in contact with me. He's like telling V, you better get in contact. You better set this fucking guy straight. I'm going to get in contact with him myself. But it's like, he never does. And V forgot about it. It was hilarious. I went to V after somebody sent me that stream, and I'm like, V, this guy was talking all kinds of shit about me, and you said you're going to get on my case and whatever. He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about all that. I was like, Jesus, V. Oh, man. Yeah, somebody says that the right are wrong-headed retards. They just got lucky that the left is worse than them as a whole right now. That's very true. Like I said, I boil it down to a sense of arrogance, that they think they can have the best of both worlds. And like I said, the real cancer of the right, and this is the thing. I get a lot of conservatives that ultimately have to like either they'll enthusiastically say I'm right, or they basically have to hold their head in shame. The internationalists right wingers, they are your fucking cancer. They are the that retarded guy running around naked in the libertarian movement and the ANCAPs in the libertarian movement. The internationalist conservatives are your fucking retards running around naked. They are destroying your fucking movement. Oh, man, that's good. I hope to really spend a decent amount of time just mocking the right for that reason, is that their internationalist conservatives are so terrible. They're so terrible, and they make conservatism look like a fucking joke. So, yeah, buckle up for that one. Oh, the internationalists, they're so funny. Ben Shapiro, I'm not even sure where he lands on that trajectory either. Especially that, I'm a libertarian on immigration. I was like, oh boy, wow. Like maybe my estimation of Ben Shapiro was way too high when I started listening to him. All right, let's wow, this went on way later than I thought I was going to. Let's wrap this up. Let's get a couple more questions and wrap this up. Somebody, John Pablo on Twitter, asked me, why is Yahweh wrong in your opinion? Because it's, in one, Yahweh is incredibly normie. Yahweh is normie as shit. And it's faggy. That's obvious. And it's also just unappealing to me. So those are the three things. Yahweh is normie as shit. It's faggy. And it's just generally unappealing to me. So fuck Yahweh. Let me check Gab. See if we got anything going on over there. Gab has been kind of dead for me lately. I've been posting there, just, I tried to recall the repost there. But it's been pretty dead lately. The only thing I disagree with you about is Psychopaths, and that's by the Josh Way. I've said this before, and I will say it again. Psychopaths is one of the most overrated dog shit animations in existence. I don't know about the manga or whatever. I assume it exists. The anime is fucking shit. It is shit. It is so. It is not only unbelievably pretentious, it is just not even good. It's not even entertaining. So yeah, there's some hate for a Psychopaths for you. But I did buy a manga. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but I bought a manga the other day, and I'm going to read it at some point. It's an anime original, really? That might be why it's shit. Because everything I've ever watched practically has been based on a manga. Am I single? I am currently single. Can you fucking believe it? Maybe not forever. I'm hoping that this year will be my year that I can finally go out there. I still need to work out, and this winter for me has been brutal. Thankfully, I haven't gained that much weight. I've probably gained from the fall to the winter, I've probably gained like 10 pounds, and I have I have so much desire pent up for the weather to get good and for me to just go out every single day and start jogging. And I'm gonna, especially, dude, if I buy a house, which is likely to happen this year, not absolutely going to happen, but if I buy a house, dude, I'm just gonna have a full room that's just going to be my workout room. I'm gonna build a fucking home gym. Because one of the problems with where I am currently, and I'm not going to say where I am currently, but it's a problem of space, and I just don't have enough room to work out. It's either work out to the limited ability I can, or I go to a gym, and I hate the environment of a gym. So I'd like to build a home gym. And I think that once that happens, getting back to the point, is once I build a home gym, I work out, then I'm going to get on fucking dating apps and just go for the pussy, baby. That's when I'm going to go full throttle forward, because at that point I'll have eliminated the one area where I am insecure, is being in shape. Because if I have to hold a woman to because I hold women ultimately to the standard of, if you are out of shape, I am not fucking dating you. So I have to hold myself to that same standard. If I'm out there being a doughy fuck, then I'm not appealing to any woman, from my perspective at least, according to my ego. But if I'm out there and I'm in good shape and I'm going to hold to a certain standard, and it also puts you, especially if you're in a relationship and you are the better looking of the two, or at least the better in shape of the two, there is some power relationship there. You can use that to your fucking advantage in terms of a relationship. And I don't ever want to be in a relationship where I'm not the dominant person in that relationship. That's my personal position on relationships, is that I want to be the dominant one in that relationship. Masturbation chamber. No, I mean an actual home gym. I own weights and all sorts of shit. It's all mothballed, you know what I mean? Like, it's all put away. Louis Swole. Louis Swole. Yes, somebody said advantage in terms of a relationship. Yes. Every relationship has a distinct power balance between the two. Usually in a relationship, I've found that there is a dominant figure in the relationship. There's somebody that is more aggressive in that relationship in terms of pursuing things. And my position is that I want to be the dominant person in that relationship. Like, if you want to live in some sort of lunatic egalitarian relationship where you think that no one is the dominant force in that relationship, then by all means. It's different than when you become married. It changes, by the way. But when you're somebody that's just looking into dating, you have to put your foot down on certain things. Because, for example, you're on a date with somebody. Let's say it's your third date, okay? And they want to do the thing where, or maybe not a third date, let's say a second date, or even a first date. And in this situation, the other person says, I want you, or at least alludes to, I want you to pay for my meal. Your answer, unless you want to be a fucking doormat, should be no. Even if they're the most out of this world, beautiful, like the best you could ever achieve in your lifetime, if they say to you, more or less, I want you to pay for my meal, your answer should be no. And if they break up with you, then that's it. Fuck it. But if they don't, you automatically gain dominance in that relationship. because they immediately understand that you are willing to tell them no, especially as it relates to fucking money, especially with fucking women. Be real, okay? You like, I am in no way ever going to allow myself to be in a position where I am the fucking doormat to a girl. That will never fucking happen. It hasn't. I've only had so many girlfriends. I'm not some pussy destroying whatever. I've only had so many girlfriends. I've never been in the position where I've been the fucking doormat, and that will never fucking happen. So that's my position. Maybe people have found out, different means by which to date, but that's my position. I think you should date a woman who makes more money than you, so long as the disparity is small. I don't know. I don't really have that much of a position on a girl. Like, how would you know? Unless you are like, even on the first date, I don't really know how much you would go into your own career. Maybe you would to flesh things out, I guess, but that's pretty formal for like a first date. But for me, it's been a while, just to be clear. Somebody's making a comment about my dating advice. Well, the thing is, too, you have to understand is that I'm a jealous person. That's definitely true about me. I am a jealous person. So, in terms of a relationship, I ultimately view it from the power dynamic of the relationship, because it's better to do that and to weed out the women that aren't comfortable with that than it would be to have a woman that you ultimately couldn't depend on to adhere to that dynamic. Because the girl that's going to, say like, oh, whatever, fuck you, and break up or not have a second date, that's going to be the girl that fucks another guy. That's going to be the girl that fucks another guy. At least from my estimation, maybe. Maybe I'm crazy, and maybe somebody that gets pussy every goddamn day of the week could tell me otherwise. But from my experience, especially with my friends, in terms of them dating, it's always been the girl that is bossy and that is dominant in the relationship. That's the girl that fucks another dude. And that ain't fucking happening to me. Because I'll tell you what, because the thing is, too, if I was in a relationship with a girl and she, like, it would take, I don't really know how far I want to go down this road, because I could see myself, so to say, in a relationship where if I was in a relationship where I found out because the girl admitted to me, especially if she did it in a way that wasn't apologetic, if she just threw it in my face like a rock that she had cheated on me, I could see myself hitting her, like smacking her very hard in the face. Because I do not have any qualms about hitting a woman. I am an egalitarian in that sense. But the thing is that what drives that rage, like that fear of being cheated on or being confronted in that way, is jealousy. That is ultimately the underpinnings of why in that situation you would be violent, and you would. You know that you have that capacity. It is jealousy that fuels that. And that I'm sorry, but that isn't going to change about me. That is something that is not going to fucking change. It is so part of me that I don't think that it could ever happen. People are complaining about Shu. My method to having a good relationship is just be better at sex than all the other guys she's had before. I don't need to worry about dominating after that. I don't really know. I mean, I've had a friend of mine who is like kind of I think I've talked about it in the past. I don't think I've ever named him, and I think I'll keep it that way. But I have a friend of mine who's kind of a womanizer, and as far as I know, he's good at sex. But he has not only cheated on girls before, but he has been cheated on before, even though he was actually good in that relationship. So I think it ultimately depends on the girl. Like, obviously if you're bad at sex, then it's going to create the desire of the girl to look elsewhere. But just because you're good at sex doesn't mean that the girl isn't going to look for sex elsewhere as well. I don't think that that's something you can depend on. I think that's kind of ego talking, honestly. Would you hit a girl back if she slapped you for cheating on? I don't think I am capable of cheating on a girl. I don't. One, that would require women to hit on me, or for me to be pursued outside of a single relationship, which I don't think I would ever do, considering how much investment emotionally and otherwise it would require for me to be in a relationship. I don't think I would ever cheat on a girl. If I cheated a girl and she hit me, I don't think I would hit her back, because ultimately I am the guilty party in that situation. But I don't think it could ever happen. Just mate with a potato. I am not that foreign guy that doesn't like Sargon, who is Mr. Potato Head. Is Louis Le Vau gonna have to choke a bitch? That's by 80 on 55. Would it be cool if the Liberalists hosted our own Woodstock-like concert event? If it gets popular enough, not the degenerate Dead Horse. Oh shit, it skipped by. Deadhead hippie aspect, though. I mean, like I said, it ultimately depends on what it would be. The best thing that I think that could happen going forward would be Sargon hosts an event, and it's specifically to talk about these principles, and it's like a panel. You know what I mean? He goes to a convention, a political convention, he has a panel. It's got him and some big name people where they can talk about these principles, and Sargon could push the idea of the liberalist title, that label. I think that's step one for where to go with it. It has to be organic. You can't predict where it's going to go. Shu is, as far as I know, Shu on Head is not going to be doing much more of anything after she marries Armored Skeptic. She's currently in the process. He proposed to her, and they're going to get married. And as far as I know, once that happens, she's off of YouTube. So if you got thoughts about Shu on Head, I would wrap them up soon, because I don't think she's going to be much around much longer. Would I go to such an event? The only way I would go to an event is if I had the assurance that like I was in a position where I couldn't be fucked with, because ultimately once your face gets out there, that is the when from there on out you will be fucked with. And I just want to make sure that I'm in the position where, like, let's say I get fired from my job, that it is not significantly going to set my life back. So I would like to go to an event, but it's just a matter of money, time, and the ability to take a blow should it come. Thoughts on the UK Labour Party charging white people more for admission at conference? So that's up to the Labour Party. If they want to be the anti-white party in an overwhelmingly white country, they can go right ahead. And all the bourgeois fuckers that agree with that can go ahead and show up and pay the extra fee. I would never do that. If I ever showed up to some place and they said to me they were going to charge me more for being white, I would say to them, I'm going to boycott you for the rest of my fucking life. And then potentially talk to a lawyer to see if I could sue them. Because Buffalo has some good fucking lawyers. I got some good lawyers. New York State has some good fucking lawyers. So I just shop around and see. Because when it comes to bigotry in action, like you actually being bigoted and discriminated against people in that way that's against the laws, you should get fucked. You should get fucked. You break the laws, you should get fucked. I don't care what they are. I'm sick of this idea of like laws being this sort of like suggestion. Oh, I don't know if we should just obey the law or not. We'll just see. It's like, no, you should obey the fucking law, and the penalty for not doing so should be severe. whether it is criminal or civil. You should obey the fucking law. And so yeah, if that was me, I would threaten to sue. Let's see here. I don't know. I just think you need to make the woman happy and have a hard time imagine being happier with someone else. Also, too many cucks don't communicate, so they don't know how to be stable. You're saying a little bit there. I'm not sure what to say. It just depends on your preference. Like, it also depends on the girl. Girls are so all over the place with so many things. In my opinion, when it comes to communication, it's the thing with women. Women don't communicate. They'll talk for 2 hours and say nothing. I don't know what it is. When people say that women and men are on two different wavelengths, I absolutely agree. Are you too jealous to do a threesome? Yes. I'm not in favor of polygamy. I don't. Even if it were a situation where it would be another girl, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. I'm just too possessive. I just wouldn't want that. It's just like, maybe you could say whatever, but it's just something I'm not attracted to. Personally, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, if you go online, you watch some porn of a threesome, maybe you can get off to it. But I'm saying personally, for my own life, I would never fucking do. I would never even entertain that. Is there a legal weed referendum coming to your state soon? I'm not sure of that. People putting my name in brackets. I am clingy. Like I said, I'm possessive, so I don't think that. Like I said, I'm very much a jealous person. So, you know, if you date me, prepare for that. Yeah, so Chelsea Valkenberger says plays Arrogay and doesn't like harem endings. That's what's known about known as abject failure. Lou, I mean, that's true. That is fucking true. I actually don't like harem games. I genuinely don't. Because that's supposed to be like the ultimate, like, oh man, you're the ultimate fucking powerful, dominant male. You're gonna mind break all these fucking women, and they're all gonna be your mistresses. It's like, I don't really know. I don't really like. I that to me is like too power politics. It's like, you know, I still value the idea of falling in love to the point where, like, I like I said, I'm not really like, maybe that's like wank material, but again, like, I'm not really into like harem shit. Like, I'm not Muslim, so I'm not into it. New York won't even let you buy a 2-liter soda. I'm not sure that's true anymore. That was downstate New York, and I think they got rid of that. New Jersey wants to ban menthol cigarettes. That's a good way to lose some Democratic votes. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to figure out what girls want. You just have to confront them strongly and make them feel safe to share with you, and you must share too. Yeah, definitely. I would definitely agree with that. The thing that I found with women is true. That's true as well. Is if you try, it's not always exactly simple, but you need to basically figure out the fucking what is it? That cube. I forget what it's called. The Rubik's cube that is women, and basically have them confide in you what their expectations are. And if you manage to do that, that's how you have a stable relationship. But if you don't get them to speak to you directly, if it's always just passive aggressive shit, or like just what would be just not necessarily insincere, but just dancing around points rather than just directly answering them, then that relationship's doomed. It's not going anywhere. I can tell you that definitely from watching a friend of mine who's been in and out of relationships since we were both in high school. Just all the time. Louis, this fucking Mitch just sent it in a super chat in all caps. Louis Le Vau, the dominant alpha male. It depends on what you mean by alpha, because alpha seems to be like the harem concept of like you fuck every woman, versus like the trad alpha, like you have the traditional marriage, etc. Somebody's dank Oozablue says, keep it monogamous. What did Lewis mean by this? I agree with that. I do agree. Keep it monogamous. See, this the strange goat says, does Lewis like or Louis? I keep having to correct myself on how to actually say my own fucking name. Like Nito Rare. I actually don't, because I was actually told, I was corrected in like a stream or two ago, that is just cuckoldry anime or whatever, and I'm not into that. So no, the answer is no. Rose asks, in your ideal world, do you get married and have kids? And does your wife stay at home to raise them? I would give the answer that Christopher Hitchens gives, which is if she can afford to stay home, then I would like her to stay home. But if she wants to work, she can work. I don't think I would be controlling enough to say to a spouse that she shouldn't work, and make that like a demand of mine. But my only concern would be that I would like to see a better upbringing than I would have, not to be too hypercritical of my parents, because my parents didn't have the opportunity to stay home. They needed to stay home. My mother, for a very long time, is incredibly self-sacrificial, and I credit to that to her to a large extent. My father also was very self-sacrificial, to the point where he severely injured himself while on the job. So to me, it's an issue of class. It's a class issue. And so, like I said, if I was in a situation where I was married to somebody and we had the income necessary to provide for all and the wife could stay home, then I would say by all means stay home. There would be some requirements for that, by the way. You don't just stay home and sit on your ass. But the thing is that I would like to see that if it were possible to happen, because it would be good for the children. Because I would like to have kids someday. But if she wanted to work because she, let's say she's passionate about animals and she wants to become a veterinarian or an assistant to a veterinarian, or she, wants to be a doctor or something like that, I'm not going to say, like the Mormons would, okay, fuck your degree, fuck what you want, you just stay home and pump out kids. It would be okay, do what you want, but just be mindful of the fact that you're still, if we have fucking kids, you still got to be a fucking mom. That would be my position on it. And I think that's fair. So a 50-pound super chat from the distant gray, which is probably a troll, that says, I date Louis. The thing is, you don't even know me. You don't even know me. You don't even know what the fuck I look like. People have, it's a meme now, but it is still very true. I am a 7 trying to be an 8. All right? So keep that in fucking mind when you're saying like, oh man, I'd fuck this shit out of him, unless it's just a troll, which, good troll, I better get that 50 fucking pounds. Better not do what other people have done and have like, given a shit credit card or something like that so you don't actually make payment. It's rare, but it's happened. Sunsetter says, what if you had passive income and could both stay at home and sit on your asses? I don't think either one of us would like that. I don't want passive income and just to sit home. I'd still like to be doing something, even if this, which is me sitting at home on my ass, but I'm still doing something. Angus says that he knows somebody that's currently living the happy ethnic merger dream. Yeah. If it only could be us all. That's my stance of bringing in a mass wave of Asian women. It's for the reason of the racial merger. So you're not going to do a political marriage. Rest in peace, Governor Lewis. Well, that requires somebody to come fucking my way, man. They'd be fucking they'd be stooping down if they're gonna marry me for political reasons. What's my favorite emoto? I don't know. I date anything over 7. Well, then I guess you're up my alley then. What's my opinion on Russia? It's kind of like a second, a sad, alcohol fueled, not developing nation, but like kind of like a quasi regressed nation. I think of Russia as kind of like a sad nation, less so than like a dangerous one that's going to invade America. You know, I'm not really concerned about that. I think Russia is kind of a sad country, more it is anything dangerous or whatever. I got a couple super chats. Let me get to that in a second. Do you read Japanese literature besides anime, for example? No, I don't read anything like that. Do women watch your channel? Yes, there are some. It's like 9% maybe. I'd have to look it up again. It hasn't gone up. But yeah, some do. Several of them are overseas, by the way. I got some people overseas that watch my channel that are female. Dank Uzablue says in the super chat, just get one of those submissive East Asian waifus, Lewis. It's harder to get fucked over if they don't speak English. Hashtag with an OK sign, hashtag racial merger. Now, I've actually been told to watch out for East Asian women. I've had people that live in Japan and shit say to me that I've actually had to see this a lot. I've seen people that live in Japan come to me and say, be careful of East Asian women because they put out until you marry them and have kids, and then they stop. He says that's a very big thing in East Asia is women that basically act cute and until you knock them up, and then they stop putting out for the rest of their lives. Yeah, people are saying that they want it to end. They want the stream to end. It's hard for me to just pull the plug when a couple minutes ago I got a 50 fucking pound super chat, and it definitely incentivizes me to keep this shit going, no matter how many hours pass by, because I'm making decent money. But I hear you there, Josh Way. What's amazing to me, Rose says again, I've been replying to you a lot, Rose. East Asian girls are dangerous. You should probably just marry a girl who's more conservative than you are. That appears to be where I'm headed. That's probably where, if things are going to square away, that's probably what's going to happen. Is I'm probably going to end up dating somebody, and that's going to be the good relationship where they're more conservative than I am, because we'll disagree on some very few things, and we won't have radical differences in terms of just basic understanding of life and in terms of a relationship. All right, so I will answer a couple more, and then I will close this off. We will close it down, and I'll probably have to do some actual work. I meant to do a decent amount of work today. It didn't happen. One sec. Fucking got a call. All right, so yeah, let's get a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap this up. How many East Asians are there in upstate New York? Not many, but in Canada, there's a lot. There's a lot of fucking Asians in Canada, and especially in it's like Ontario and it's Ontario, Toronto specifically, and one other portion of like southern Canada in that one region. There's like a shitload of Asians. Chelsea says, from a fellow New Englander, since you are in a field related to law enforcement, how big of an actual problem do you find the Hispanic community to be? I'm not really aware of how bad it would be. There's not very many Hispanics around here. It is like a minority community around here, but they're not that like out of control. Whether it's fraud, crime, whatever, there's a much bigger problem with fraud in comparison with whites and blacks than there are with Latinos. So I don't really see Hispanics as that big of a problem. At least I understand, though. I know a lot of people that live out west, and they're constantly complaining about Hispanics. So I think it ultimately depends on where you live. The thing I don't like about Hispanics in my area is that there's a lot of them, especially I found with Puerto Ricans, which you could say whatever in terms of ethnicity, but a lot of them don't speak fucking English. It's amazing. Like I've talked to a few Puerto Rican people in Buffalo, and I've investigated Puerto Rican people, and it's just like they don't speak fucking English. It's just like, how the fuck are you living here? How the fuck are you living here where you don't speak English? It's ridiculous. And I don't mean like, oh, they say something with a heavy accent and oh, speak English. I mean like literally they don't speak fucking English. They don't speak a word of English. It's like, how are you living here? So yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's get one more, and then we wrap it up. They're lying to me about not speaking English. That may be possible. Puerto Rico is worse than Haiti, according to my girlfriend. Well, Puerto Rico's not exactly a great place as far as I'm aware, but I don't know if it's worse than Haiti. Because the thing is that I grew up, one of the kids I was friends with in high school was from a very Puerto Rican family. He had a Puerto Rican mom and dad, and they're pretty out there. And he was a nice kid though, and they were fully functional human beings. Like they were very productive people, good people, healthy marriage, etc. Raised a few kids. I don't have any real problem with Puerto Ricans. It's just that like some of them that I've come across in Buffalo, it's just like it's so whacked. Bobby Lyon says, would you stay at home with the kids if you married a woman or CEO or something with a huge income? I don't know. Once upon a time, I'd be able to just say yes to that question, but nowadays it's a little bit harder to answer. So yeah, let's get one more question I can actually answer, and then we'll wrap this up and end it. Just end it all. That or another super chat. Next super chat could be the final one. So we got fucking $2, and you got the last question. Yeah, Ideon says she would have all the power in the relationship. New. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Something. We got to get something. Come on, chat. You're failing me here. Give me something. Dank memes. Okay. Thank you for the super chat there. Who's a blue? That's not a question though. I don't know if like that's gonna be the end though. That's the end of the fucking stream. Just dank memes. Shut it down. Is that it? Are we ending it on that? Is that ending the stream? We're just ending it on dank memes. That's literally you bought out the end of this. Distant Gray already answered the question of whether I'd attend a liberalist meeting. I said I would, but it's just I'm not in the position. Yeah, okay. I guess we're ending it. It's over. Yeah, okay. Forget it. That's the end of the stream. So congratulations to Dank Oozablue for ending the stream based on dank memes in the super chat. He literally brought about the end of the stream based just on that alone. So I'll thank Sargon for stopping by and having that long conversation with me. It was a good conversation. I don't really know how far we got into the actual topics that I wanted to discuss, but it was still a good conversation. I'm glad for him for stopping by. And I appreciate everyone that asked questions to him or to me. So thanks to all of you that participated in the super chats. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Gab, and here on YouTube. Be sure to support me on Patreon and on Maker Support, and support me in the super chat, as many of you have. But otherwise, thanks for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy what is left of your weekend. All right, bye.